All right, welcome back to Dirt Sociable. We have a guest today, Mark Krueger. It's going to give us a little bit of a history on his career, some back in the day stuff, some current stuff. We're excited to crack into this and hear some cool stories.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's an honor. Never done this before, so it's something new for me. But yeah, I started racing back in good old boys, I guess, and that's where it started. I was 17 years old because I went to Crandon one time and I wanted to, and then I thought that was pretty cool. So then, really, what got me started more in professional style racing, I guess, was 1 year Marty Reed wanted to rent my car, so they used it. And then the following year, Randy Anderson, which is Walker Evans' crew chief, wanted it really bad, but I didn't want to not drive it. So they were trying to buy it off of us. They were buying a bunch of cars. All the West Coast people never saw that before. So Walker actually came up to me on his little scooter and said, "Hey, what it would take? My crew chief wants your car." I'm like, "Well, I want to drive it." And he says, "Well, what would it take?" And I said, "A ride in your truck." And he said, why don't you say so? So then the next morning that's when they still had 2 seats in it.
Yeah.
And I got to ride in his truck. And that was pretty crazy going to turn one with Walker Evans, one hand in it, waving to the crowd, So that's kind of was, after that I said, I got to get something better. Right. And I saved up and I graduated and got a job and all that fun stuff. And I ended up deciding to go into the 1600 buggy at the time.
Okay.
And I raced that for quite a few years, from when I was 93. Raced that till 99. Started winning championship. Then I moved into pro lite. And first year we did pretty well. And then I continued to be competitive against the big guys, just a little 20-foot enclosed trailer, competing against all Art Schmitz and Johnny Greaves. Or not Johnny. Johnny had already moved up.
Okay.
And from there, I got the opportunity, and a lot of this had to do with John because I got to be friends with John Greaves because he would tell me all these opportunities. So then he was telling me that Art Schmidt was building a multiple truck team, and I got to I gave Art a call, and he hired me, and we built the truck, and I raced for him for a few years, and then that kind of ended, and that was around 2005 where I kind of was done pretty much full time in off road.
Yeah.
And then from there I kind of filled in here and there, and then I kind of dabble a little bit. A guy called me and I drove a sprint car for a year. And then when the UTVs kind of started getting bigger, I dabbled in that for a little bit. But other than that, the main part of my story would be from probably 93 to 99. 2005, I should say.
Awesome. Yeah, that was exciting times with the 4-cylinders in the trucks and stuff. That was something that we don't get to see anymore nowadays.
Yeah, I think it was cool because, some of the ones, there were 10,000 RPMs, they were screaming those things, and it was 4-speed. That's what I really think is cool about the new class that they have. What is that one?
Pro Spec.
Pro Spec. I think now that they got the G-Force transmissions, we had those.
Okay.
Same tranny, I believe, or very close to the same.
Yeah, I don't think the design has changed much, just maybe some improvements.
Right, but the 4-cylinders, they were pushing those things 350, I think. Jeff Kincaid and some of those Fords, they were getting a lot of horsepower out of them, but
yeah,
they were expensive to build, so they thought they had this great idea to put a crate motor in. I was already done by then, but I think it was not a bad idea, but I think, like anything in racing, it just continues to get out of hand if you don't keep it in check.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we see that quite a bit.
Yeah.
They should have probably just kept the 4-cylinders in there without dry sump. That would have limited a little bit, or left them as wet sump, not let them go to dry sump, because that just let everybody to zing them more and more and more, and it got very expensive, especially for a privateer.
Yeah, they were, if I got my stats correct, they were like $10,000, even more engines.
No, they were like $26,000 motors.
You're up there.
I always tell a funny story, or maybe not so funny, but when I was racing privateer, I had to buy one of those, and I used a credit card to buy one. So,
jeez. Yeah. Well, I've heard stories of guys refinancing their house or other things like that. So, it's you're not alone with making those decisions.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing was it was more like like business have open credit. Well, that's how we kind of use it. So the good thing is it got paid off throughout the years, and with winning races here and there, or at least doing well. And back then you had contingencies that paid pretty good, the tire companies and stuff. So
Yeah, just looking at some of the photos, it looks like sponsorship was kind of decent back then. It was, nowadays it's it's pretty hard to get some good sponsorships. And
yeah, I mean, my sponsorships weren't big numbers, but in the buggy days, I was pretty well funded in the buggy. Between Nicola Minerals Company and a trucking company I had, and then Goodyear Tire at the time, they would give us as many tires as we wanted. Plus, if you won a race, you get contingency of like $500. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, in the buggy days, you could leave Crandon if you won because we'd race 2-3 times a weekend, depending if there's a championship race. There was one weekend I probably left there with $3,000 or more.
oh wow,
Between all that stuff, nowadays barely. The pros don't even get that, right?
Yeah,
I was going to say they might get that for first place as a pro.
I don't think you're leaving with any money once you figure out what you spent to get there. So,
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So you've been on Goodyear and it looks like BFGs as well.
I kind of was on them all for a while there. I was on Goodyear for all of my buggy career. I was in Goodyear tires.
Okay.
When I went to Pro Lite, we had to get some money and some sponsorship, and Goodyear didn't have the budget at the time, and BFG was willing to give me give me tires and give me a really nice contingency sponsor. Like if I would win, it was like $4,000, or wow. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a bigger number. But it was all performance based, along with some tire, and I don't recall if I got money or not on that one, but it paid out. I mean, I won, I think one race that year, but so I had them, but then I also had what's the name of it?
Kumo, or
I think it was Kumo. Huh.
What'd you have on the good old boy?
I don't remember.
Whatever was laying around.
There's no wheel well stickers.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I had another tire company. I think it was Kumo. It was Kumo.
Okay.
They're red writing, right?
Kenda's got red writing too, but I don't know if that.
No, this was Kumo.
Kumo, yeah.
No. So I had them. The last year I was a privateer, and I didn't finish the year that year because had motor issues, and they're too expensive, and I just decided, okay, I got to take a break here, and I'm starting a new family and stuff. So that year I didn't finish, but then that rolled me into the next year, being able to have an opportunity to go with art.
Yeah.
So I would say, I guess my privateer years proved myself enough to be able to get an opportunity to go to what I would call a factory, team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and to be with Art, that's a cool teammate to have.
Right, and that was back then the Goodyear again, so
Yep.
It worked out good.
Awesome. So should we jump right into our site lap?
Yeah. So the next part, we kind of just have a base of questions that we ask, so everybody gets the same questions. But what is your favorite track of all time?
Pretty much like I watch your show all the time, I want to say the same thing is Bark River. Bark River was always my favorite track. I felt like it had a lot of different elements to it, and I just really enjoyed it. The fly jumps and the off-camber jump coming from the front to the back, and the graveyard corner. I mean, some things have changed a little bit there, but it's always been a real fun track. And of course, it's just a good facility. I mean, we had some really neat tracks. I can't remember all the names or where they were at, but there was some that the tracks were cool. Like Fort Dodge, Iowa, and Topeka, Kansas. I mean, they had some really cool tracks that were special built.
Yeah.
But we only raced there one or two times, so it wasn't like you got a real big love for it, right?
Yeah, you only go there a couple of times. It's hard to grow a passion for it. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I would say Bark River. But there's probably other tracks that were just as fun, just that we didn't go there. They didn't stick, I guess.
So Bark River, then you got the Land Rush days, right? You were
Yep.
there for Land Rush?
Yep. Yeah, Bark River had the Land Rush, and you would funnel all those trucks down at that little corner or buggies or whatever you're racing. And I didn't think it was that bad because you had to use your brain,
Yeah.
I mean, they still kind of have the same problem on the rolling start, to be honest with you. They kind of all fan out and try to push, and so I don't know. But I was a fan of the ladder rush.
Yeah. I mean, even the rolling start is yeah, you got the corner there. Well, they took out the tabletop now.
Okay.
So right by the county road, so that helps a little bit. But
And the finish line at Bark River when I raced it, well, not in the UTVs, but before that was always right by, I think Mikey was alluding to it, like straight across from where it is now, but on that chicane, the first one, kind of where they have the tabletop now, I think.
yeah.
Or a little tabletop across from that house.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they still have there's like a double.
Yeah,
there.
double there, yeah. So
And
that's
then
where the finish line used to be. You come around
really?
there and right there, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I've never seen it in that state. I never seen it when it went on the road either.
Yep, I raced when you'd slide onto the road,
Yeah.
on the blacktop. It wasn't really intended, but it would just get wider and wider and wider.
Yeah, and they didn't have a fence there.
No,
Yeah. That's amazing.
no, that was for a long time. That I don't know when that changed, but it's not that long ago that it changed.
Yeah. It seems like a long time for me, but yeah.
Yeah.
Which one was the toughest track to drive?
Oh, good question. I mean, I raced so many different tracks. Probably. Well, I don't know if Crandon is. Crandon's tough in a way because you're just going so fast, right? When you're in a big track, and it's kind of a motor thing. So it's tough in that way that everybody's fast, right there. You don't have to have. So I don't know if it's tough, the toughest track, but I would say some of the shorter tracks, like Anigo was always kind of demanding, and that was back in the day when we jumped off the back of the track and went around the pond.
Okay.
So they used to off turn 2, that used to jump right off,
Yeah.
and then it went around. I think there's a pond out there now.
Yeah.
And then to come back on kind of through where the pits is and come back into the track.
So is that the same area that Johnny went over the wall where you'd go
Yep,
off?
yep,
Okay.
probably, yeah.
He had muscle memory. That's where he was going.
Yeah, probably, yeah, yeah. The shorter tracks, I guess, got tougher. I don't know. There's a lot of them, but
Yeah.
they're all kind of the same. So I don't know if I really had any that were that much tougher.
They all have their own challenges.
Right.
I
Their
think
own
a
personal.
few people have said Crandon for the exact same reasons you did. Just the speed and everybody's, like, even if you make one mistake, if the speed is sometimes hard to make it back up.
Right. I mean, that's just it. I mean, everybody's fast, and you're setting everybody up at such high speeds, and I don't know. It just was hard to pass sometimes at Crandon.
Yeah,
Especially the shorter track. I mean, I found it even harder to pass when we went to the UTV's track. When you had
Yeah.
the longer track, at least you had some spots that you could,
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you were at the races watching, what was like the one class you always tried to go up to the grandstands to watch?
Well, now I always try to go back and watch, some of the buggy classes. Like I like watching 1600, or even if I'm watching it on Flow or something, I'm not at the track. Obviously, Pro 4, Pro 2, those classes were fun to watch. Back in the day, especially when I was racing, because you had all the legends of Walker Evans and Johnny Greaves and Jack Flannery and all those. So I would say, like everybody else, probably Pro 2, Pro 4, and then. Now that I'm not racing, I probably for sure try to watch 1600 just because I feel like that's kind of a neat class to watch.
Yeah,
Really
I think that's always fun to watch that one. Speaking of the legends, who is a legend of the sport that had a high impact, but you don't feel always gets mentioned or get the limelight?
So I know you had given me that question and I watched, but I mean, is it a rate when you ask that? Are you talking about racers, or are you just talking about in general people in the sport?
In general, people, because we've had people mention racers, we've had people mention
Engine builders, I think.
engine builders, transmission guys. We've had, I think Mikey mentioned the track help at Crandon, like the safety crew.
So I guess for me, I want to say, I was part of helping build the Lena track and just to see what goes on in building something like that. And I'm not saying Lena in general, and then how it runs. I'm think when I was racing, I didn't even realize that, or probably didn't even give it enough thought to all the hard work that everybody does. Between the people doing the staging, the people doing the flagging, the graders, and all the people that make the track go. Even maybe, the series in some ways. I feel like as a racer, we tend to maybe don't think of all that, but once you're not in the racing and you try to get back to the sport, I found that, man, there's a lot of passion in that area that they're doing it for basically because they love it, kind of like what you guys are doing this show for. Yeah. And I think that's probably where I don't know if that group of people get as much. They're unsung, I guess, hero in a way. So I don't really have a name per se, but I mean, I would say all the workers and the volunteers for those tracks, because without those, we wouldn't be able to race.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
definitely. Who's the highest skilled competitor you've raced against?
Wow. I've raced against a lot of high skilled people. In Pro Lite, I raced against Rick Huseman, Kyle LeDuc, Jeff Kincaid. My first buggy race at Oshkosh, Johnny Greaves was in it in 1600. So, I mean, I actually got to race against John. In Pro Lite also I did. So, I mean, all those are probably good to mention, that they're very good. But I know I'd have to say probably John Greaves. He was back in the Pro Lite days, and anything he raced, he was tough to beat.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really that competitive then. So then when I got more competitive, I would say Rick Huseman. Rick Huseman was a go-getter. Rick and Kyle, they kind of raced the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've raced so many different vehicles, from the buggies, the trucks, the good old boys, the side-by-sides, the sprint car that you mentioned. Which one's your favorite?
I guess overall, where I had in my career where I had the most fun, it was in the buggies. The guys that I got to race with, while we were very competitive, we also had the camaraderie around the campfire and the bench racing, and it was kind of like you going, snowmobiling with your buddies, and you kind of jabbing each other and stuff like that. So I mean, I would say that those years were the most fun. And the buggy was where you learn how to drive, and you have to be smooth. You don't have all the horsepower. Yeah. But in general, that was just probably the most fun time of racing that I had. But then the second part of that is the sprint car race. When I got to do that, that was the most intense thing that I ever did. I mean, those cars are only cars that you can drive that are about the same weight as the buggy, 1,500 pounds, but their horsepower is like 500 horsepower. And they're, if you go to World Outlaws, they're 1,000, but mine were 500. And just that raw power and how fast they go. And then when you go in a corner, they're the only car that, because of the wing, leans in to that corner and doesn't want to roll out because the wing throws it over. So you go around a corner and you got so many G's and stuff like that. And the racing's just so intense from the start to finish because you don't have no radios other than the track radio, and you don't have you don't really know where everybody is. So you got to use lap traffic to move up, and it just feels like my description of all the time is it feels like turn one at Crandon the whole time, 30 laps. So it's pretty intense that way. Yeah, so. That way was, and it was something new maybe too, and so that way was the sprint car racing was pretty wild.
Yeah, it is like watching sprint car racing. It always looks like it would be wild to get behind one of those wheels and just like you were saying in the corner, and then the whole aspect of not knowing who's around you. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. You go into a corner at 130 miles an hour and the car shakes a little bit, and then when it wings over, you're laning opposite way where your normal car would be trying to lift the inside tire. This one just slams you right down. I always say it's kind of like a tilt-a-whirl when you go into the corner where you're feeling that G. So
okay, so did it take you a little bit to get used to that?
I think I was okay with it, but where the hard part is that that being so much track and things are going so fast. I did crash quite a bit in that, so that's probably why I was only a year. But we still did okay. We had a couple heat race wins, and I think my best finish was a 5th in an A main. But driving wise, where I was good at is when the tracks got dry slick.
Okay.
Because then the stuff was more like setting up an off-road car, or you come in, you could brake more and use your brakes, instead of, and it was a little bit slower pace, so you could use the same style of racing you do in off-road, where you can kind of set guys up the same. So I actually did really well when the tracks got dry slick. Well, most people don't like that,
Yeah.
So and the other thing I think I did good at was I could read the dirt pretty good, so I could find the traction right away. So I think it what I learned in off-road really translated to that pretty quickly.
That makes sense. I wouldn't have thought of that translation.
Which one was most costly?
Pro Lite.
Pro Lite. Yeah.
Pro Lite because of the motors and the anytime you just would cost way more money. The budget I had for the buggy was just a drop in the bucket for the Pro Lite. So it was just way more expensive and a lot more time to prep.
Yeah.
So by far the Pro Lite.
Yeah. I was thinking that one's definitely got to be, especially if you have an engine problem.
Yeah.
If you can go through without having any engine issues, but still, even to get into it, you got to have that engine.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So let's go back to the good old boy days a little bit. What car model did you first start with?
Well, you always got a big, heavy, full frame car. So the first year I did it, it was a 1970 Chevy Impala 4-door, and that was the first one I had. The second one, because that one only lasted a year, and then the second one was Pontiac Le Mans, I think it was.
Okay.
And interesting enough, back then you could race more than just Crandon. There was good old boys at the Hodag. So Hodag used to have a race years ago, and they had wooden jumps. So they dusty as you can be, but you actually hit a wooden jump, and it was raced in the parking, or basically the area that they have the Hodag at the band or the concert. Up there.
Yeah.
So I raced once there, and then a couple times at Crandon. I think even Bark River had some. So a lot of the tracks had that. So it was more than one race.
Yeah.
But it was something to do, I guess.
So you did that, 2-3 years?
I did it my junior and senior years in high school, and then after that I didn't do it for a while because I was going to college, and then once I got my first job and got some money, and then I bought a 1600 buggy from what was his name? He was a good class 11 driver when Matt's dad raced with him. What was his name? I can't remember. I had it at the tip of my tongue, but now I don't have it. But anyways, it was a Taylor chassis. So Scotty Taylor used to build chassis.
Okay.
So it was one of Scott's last cars he raced, and I bought from this guy. So that's where I started. That was a 93. My first race was Bark River in 93.
All right. Awesome. You already said it. I was going to ask you about the Walker story with the good old boys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was still pretty. It was pretty cool about that. Walker came up, and the thing that still amazes me about Walker, the guy still knew who I was. I saw him at Sturgis about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. He was there with hangs around with Rusty Wallace. Somehow, I don't know how that connection's there, but he was there on his ride, and I went and talked to him. He still knew who I was. The guy just is amazing how he could remember people. But he came to me to his crew chief, Randy, he came to me and ended up saying, well, what do you want for it? And then he gave me a ride in the car, but I had to be up there. But when we did that, he put me in the car, He drove around where my pits were,
Yeah.
and rev the motors, to kind of show everybody I was in it and kind of showcase. It made a big deal, for me really. And then we did the laps around the track, and I'm not kidding when I said he was waving at people when he's going around turn one tire up in the air, and we got clocked at that time 100 miles an hour yet too, so that was a Pro 2, and did the whole practice and come back. Now I didn't sign any waivers or anything. The things were so different back then.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
I don't know if he just could do whatever he wanted or what, but I mean, it was just different,
Yeah.
And it was cool.
That is cool.
I do remember going down the straight, going to turn one though. There's nothing to hold on to. The dash was from here, to the end of the table, and you're like panicking, like what are you gonna? So you end up just grabbing your belts.
Yeah. They needed a GoPro back then.
Yeah, I'm sure there would have been a scary face look.
That's awesome.
So, what years did you run the buggy then?
I ran the buggy from 93 until 99.
To 99, okay. Who was your toughest competitor in the buggies?
Oh, at the time when I first started, Todd Attic. Todd Attic would, I mean, that guy dominated everything in the buggies. He raced all the buggy classes. I think he made a living doing it.
Yeah.
And he had the Budweiser cars and all that stuff. So he was probably the toughest at the time. But then you had Mike Seefeld and Mark Steinhardt. And really, when I first started, they were good. They would win some races, but they weren't, they were like, you had Wiggins, Jim Wiggins, and Greg Smith, and those guys were always the ones that were really winning. But then Mike and Mark would kind of get some in there, and then they kind of moved on. So then it elevated where Mike and Mark were the guys that were, and then Dan Badeau was in there also.
Yeah.
But then I started winning my first race. I believe I won was 97 at Anigo. And then it just all clicked, because prior to that, I must have been trying to find that edge a lot, because I would roll over often.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that edge, and then one day it just kind of all clicked, and then we were pretty fast. We started winning a lot of races at that point, and then we almost won the championship in 98, but then 99 they built a brand new car from scratch. That was an Attic chassis.
Okay.
He built the chassis, he built the transmission. Things were much lower cost back then than here they are now. But and then we won that championship, but a brand new car actually. I think that year we won six or more of the races. Like we were pretty dominant that year.
Yeah. That's pretty good amount of races won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nowadays, and this is more in just like the buggies, but like they generalize the term for like the sportsmen hanging out, socializing. They call it light buggy shit.
Yeah.
So, like in the terms of when you were back there, do you have any good stories that you can share?
I have some. I mean, when you hang around Mike Seefeld, you get a lot of good stories. I guess the funniest story, and his wife will probably kill me for telling this story, but we always hung around at the campfires and stuff after the races. But the year that I won my buggy championship, Mike was also the guy in second place, and Mike was always winning, right? And she, in the campfire, after some cocktails, she kind of wasn't happy that I won, so she kind of gave me a little smuck in the face about it. And then no big deal, we're still real great friends. And then the following year, this is where the funny part of the story goes, is the following year, I was already moved into Pro Lite, but I went to the campsite and I put my helmet on and I sat next to her and waited till she noticed I was there and tapped her on the shoulder. And then it was pretty funny because
That's funny.
I have to wear a helmet next to her, So,
That's awesome.
So that's kind of one of the stories that I thought was always kind of funny. I don't know if she's going to think it's funny, but I thought it was hilarious and it's a good story.
I like that you showed up with your helmet to fall. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Anytime within arm's length, have a helmet on.
yeah. So we laugh about it every time. Like every time we see the group, gets together, that story comes up. So I thought that's probably the most popular one.
That's awesome. That's funny.
So in the truck days now, we talked about the engine package already with it being a 4-cylinder. Do you think if they brought that 4-cylinder package back, probably, different engine, but still a 4-cylinder high revving, do you think the fans would enjoy that, or do you think that they're kind of acclimated to the V8 life already?
I think they would. I mean, I think the one thing about them was the noise. They sounded pretty crazy screaming around the corner. A Crandon. You had the big V8s and stuff coming, but then you also had the Pro Lights that would they made some high pitched,
Yeah.
noises that were just different, right? So, and it was something different. That's when everything those little trucks had 4 cylinders too. So a lot of them did. So I suppose. I don't really think the V8 is the draw. I think it's just noise. It has to have noise, right?
Yeah.
And I really think that it would be something different. It translates them into smaller vehicles, right? It's not the big V8. I know that the 6-cylinder still has a little bit different sound to it, so I think it's moving in the right direction. But they also have the rev limiters or whatever they have them that probably don't help them.
Yeah, they're
right. So if they could figure out a way to keep them maybe off the chips like that. I know the drivers or the racers, they're tuning them and they're doing it and they're using that to their advantage probably. But from a fan base, they probably think, this thing get irritating after a while,
Yeah.
But
I think the first year that they came out, there was a pretty funny video made up of
Yeah.
everybody imitating the noise.
Right. I mean, we had rev limiters too on the Pro Lights, but they were set at 8, 9.
Yeah.
9,000, 10,000 RPM. And a lot of times I shut mine off because they didn't work the same way as they do now. They would kind of fall in their face, right? Back in the day, and they wouldn't really, you couldn't use them so you didn't want to hit if you hit it, you'd lose ground, right?
Yeah.
And now I think they're different, but I'm not sure how they work nowadays.
Yeah, they're a little more sophisticated, but they still, it's like complete. You're not going to go any faster now.
Right.
Yeah. But everybody's trying to gear to be hitting the rev limiter just as they're, getting through the corner,
right,
type deal.
But like in the UTVs, you kind of hit it, and it doesn't really change your speed that much, like in the Yamahas, right?
Yeah.
So the truck though, it would fall like on its face.
Yeah.
Back in the day, so we'd kind of just dial them off when the engine guy wasn't looking.
Why is there a hole in the block? I don't know.
And they look at the tack, and then they know.
Yeah, I just spun it to 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, like from back in the Pro Light days, but to even now, what are your thoughts on the evolution of technology in the trucks?
I'm not real sure obviously they're all using fuel injected now, right? But I'm not, and it's all computer based, so I'm not 100% sure from engine wise what they're all doing that much different. Suspension wise, I think it's kind of the same, because I'm still doing shocks here and there, and some of the same things that I learned from Johnny Greaves still applies, So I don't know how much has changed. I'm sure they've gotten more sophisticated on roll center and pivot points, and you see some of the trailing arms are different, and the wishbones are different. And I'm just gonna assume that they're playing with the center points or the CGs and stuff like that, roll centers. But overall, it's pretty much the same. But I don't really get that deep into it, I guess.
I think maybe the biggest thing is just the ability to pull the data out.
Right. I guess I was going to go there. I see some of them having, they got paddle shifters in Pro 4 now. They got even the steering wheel with all the data. And then Owen, excuse me, I noticed there it looks like a jet steering wheel, so I don't know what they all got going on. It just seems to be pretty high tech where, I don't know. I guess it helps, but is it worth the money? I don't know if it makes them go that much faster.
Yeah, I think that's what we talk about quite a bit too is, how far do you push the envelope in technology to get at what gain? Like you said, at some point you just don't gain enough to the cost ratio, in my mind at least.
Yeah, when I built the Pro Light, I literally built it myself in a garage, probably not much bigger than this studio, and got a chassis from John to get started, and then you bought the parts and stuff. They're all more mechanical, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays you got the wiring harnesses for all the data and the fuel injected, and it just seems like the prices are a lot higher. But I get there's probably advantages that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, there's just more tunability, stuff like that. Guys are still running carburetors in Pro 2 and stuff like that.
Or are they?
They still have tons of data that helps it with everything, cooling and management of power and all that stuff. But Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, like you mentioned, Owen, now he's got a steering wheel that's carbon fiber, or no, it's actually billet aluminum with carbon fiber grips and stuff. And it looks like something out of F1.
Yeah, it does, exactly. I was
Yeah.
just watching some F1 in-car, and it kind of looks like the same stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean, somebody had said, and I don't know about it, but they have to have data on UTVs now?
Yeah, now you have to have, I forget, I think it's only Pro Stock and up, but I believe you have to have data, or the dash at least, just because that's the best way to police it, because then you can look at RPM spikes, you can look at speeds, and all that stuff.
So I guess the series is using some of that. They don't do that in the Pro Truck or the Pro, like Pro Lite, Pro 2, and Pro 4 either yet?
Yeah, you have to have a dash in those too.
Oh, you do? Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, it's crazy how much you can see from the data points now.
Yeah. Huh, I didn't know that.
So, side by side, you got into that for a couple of years. We talked, and what kind of convinced you to get into the side by side?
Oh, Johnny, he's always one of those sales guys, you know. So, and you're friends with John. He kind of, I always say that he tries to give you the little taste of the drug, and then you get stuck. So, we went. He invited me over actually to Rodvet Epperns one time, and they had a car that they were dabbling with, and he says, "Take it for a ride." So I got to take. I think it was CJ's. I don't remember who they built it for, but around Rodney's track, and I was like, "Oh man, this is really fun," you know. So it's kind of like a drug, right? Hey, yeah, well, you can go buy one of these. I can build you roughly a cage, you know. I can, you know, and you can go racing again for hardly nothing. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of what happened. So I literally bought one from Rodney, brought it home, cut the cage off. My fiance thought I was crazy because I cut a brand new car up and made it into a race car, but it started really just, you know, you still have the passion to do it. It seemed like an economical way to get back into racing. My kids were getting a little older, and I just thought it was something to try. But I will say it was much harder than what I expected. The two-wheel drive versus the four-wheel drive, it's a completely different way of driving.
Yeah.
When you drive two-wheel drive most of your life, and then you try to go to four-wheel drive, it's a different style. I mean, I got better by watching rally car racing and how they did it, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because you steer into the corners versus, you know, catching a slide is really, you know, you set your slide and then you turn into the corner and let the front tires pull you, versus the two-wheel drive, you're kind of just monitoring the slide, you know, keeping the truck and getting it to go straight. So it took me a little, so the challenge was okay. Did I get the results I wanted? Probably not. I just didn't, I probably could have. I learned I didn't want to put that much effort into it anymore. All the work at home, and you know, to win and to be competitive like everybody is, whoever is, they're putting in a lot of work. It's not coming easy.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of work.
You know, so
Especially with how many side by sides are out there now. Like, everything's mostly two brands for the most part. Maybe there's a third or fourth in there, but they're just so consistently built now. Like, there's not many differences, so you're just trying to find that one small difference to get the edge.
right. And the one thing that side by sides, I know there's always debate about them, but the one thing about that I noticed right away is it brought a lot of different other riders, drivers into the sport that you really had. The competition was really good right away from the start. You know, you're dealing with people that come from, you know, that were good at motocross and they were good at snowcross and maybe, I don't know, rally car or something. You know, it gave them an opportunity to get in a reasonable playing field, and I think that's why you see that class have such, in the beginning and even now, some pretty good drivers overall. I mean, you're getting. It seems like it's doing something good for the sport. Although I will say, my opinion is there's too many classes, but I understand why they do it too.
Yeah, there's too many cars. That's why.
Right.
Too many cars equals more classes.
Right.
So
I know there have been a lot of winter racing in the side by side. Did you do any of those races?
Yeah, I did. Johnny, you know, he had his series, and I did that. I did the first one. I believe it was at High Falls, and you study your tires, which takes eternity. That's one thing not fun about it, but it was a really fun event though to do. The UTVs, that's the only one I did, but they were fun events, and just different, But with the studs, honestly, the traction's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that much different driving them on the ice or on the dirt. It's actually probably grippier sometimes on the ice.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I guess with the studs in too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, referencing to the whole off-road experience, what's the biggest difference between racing back in the day and then racing today, or in your most recent years?
Well, just everybody's got. I guess the obvious is everybody's got a trailer, semi-hauler or a enclosed trailer and awnings and everything. But as far as the driving part of it goes, is I don't know. It seems like well, first I'll back up. It seems like the entry fees are a little higher. The pay hasn't changed much, if at all. And so it seems like it's more expensive that way. As far as the racing, when I raced side by side, it was racing. You're going to go win. You're going to try to do the best you can. Right? Everything was kind of the same. I didn't really notice that big of a difference when you're on the track.
Yeah.
But for me, probably because I'm older now, is I didn't really have, when I first raced, you had a group of people you raced with, right? Like a clique, if you really talk about the buggy clique. When I went back, that distance doesn't seem to be as cliquey, or not cliquey, but as groups.
Yeah, there's more segregation.
Segregation.
Different groups and different, teams or.
Right. You just don't have the. Well, first I go back, I don't know many people, right? They're all new.
Yeah.
Except for the Mikeys and the Johnny Greaves and, OGs, I'll call them families. But there's a lot of new people that haven't been there. So that's probably good for the sport. I don't know if I'm really answering your question, because it's the racing on the track itself, I would say, isn't that much different. Although I will say there's a lot less track time.
Yeah.
We used to race when I started, I think there was 20 minutes or maybe it was even 30 minutes, that you were on the track in 1600.
Now you're lucky if you get 12.
Right. And the competition yellows, we didn't have them.
Okay.
In the beginning. Later in my career, we had them
Yeah.
when I was in Pro Lite with Art, but so that we didn't have that. So starts were important.
Yeah.
People always joke or complain about, the invert. Heck, when I won my championship, they inverted everybody that was in the points that qualified for the points. So if there was 20 cars or 15 cars, I don't remember how many qualified, they inverted all 15. So you're starting 15.
Oh, wow.
So you had to do a lot of work.
Right. So, I mean, but amazing enough, I remember having a lot of heated discussions with Marty Reed about that, but because he was core at the time. And he said the cream still rises to the top. And he was right. We would always, Mike Seafold, myself, Federico, whoever it was, would always kind of eventually at the track. But we didn't have that caution, so you just kept fucking your way, But normally, if one of us would get out sooner, then you would normally win, right?
Yeah.
So the starts were pretty important. So now it seems like starts are important, but if you watch CJ do it all the time, you don't have to get to the first. You just have to maintain and get to at least top 3 before the caution, it seems like.
Yeah.
I think that's like a strategy you can deploy now too, is you save your first half, you just get yourself in good position to push into the second half.
I mean, years ago, you didn't save anything. It was all on the table. I mean, that's why it's pretty well talked about with Johnny and CJ being such different styles. Johnny's style was the style that we all did because you had to go.
Yeah.
You couldn't wait. So.
Yeah, that is true. You see, even today, you see that where their styles between Johnny and CJ is different.
Right.
Yeah.
CJ plays that competition yellow to the T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny, full throttle.
Yeah. I think that's all he knows.
100% of the time.
Probably closer to my style too. So
Yeah.
So I know you just referenced it, and you said you had some pretty unique situations that arise that got you into trucks, and you had kind of brought it up with the Jack Lynx truck. Like, do you want to go over how you got that into that ride?
I know it kind of sounds like a broken record, but I did spend quite a bit of time, and I will credit, a lot of opportunities I got with being, John, Greaves. I was at his shop one time, and so this truck was being raced by another racer. I think it was Jeff St. Peter, which was a really good buggy racer back in the day. So he was racing this truck for I think it was Donnie Roberts was the guy's name, and he was done for the year, and their season continued on. Continued on. So we always hear about should that go? Well, back then, and that must have been '99. They did. They went to, I think Vegas and then Connecticut that year, and so Johnny said you should give this guy a call. So I called him, and I just won a championship, had pretty decent thing. And he said, yeah, sure, go ahead. So then they raced me in Vegas in it. I did okay. And then I also got to take it, or was it the other way around? Maybe I picked it up. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if I picked it up first and took it to Connecticut and raced it all by myself, just me. And I was the driver, I was the pit crew, I was everything, and we raced it there, and that's where that oval I was telling you about, that track was just an oval. And I think I took second to Chris Brandt. Jeff and Johnny broke, whatever. And then we took second. But then I think maybe Vegas was the last one. And we went to Vegas with it after I did that. So then they brought it out there, and I raced for them out there. So it was just a kind of a couple race thing. It probably could have been something I could have drove into in the following year. But I felt like, and I still feel this is true, and maybe it's different now, but the people that were successful in this off-road has always owned their own team and they kind of built their own team. So I kind of wanted to have control of building it, and I thought, okay, I can build this Pro Lite team and kind of work my way up, which it kind of worked out that way, just not as good as I had hoped, So that's kind of why I decided to go off on my own, which it worked out. I mean, we took third the first year in it, and we had some wins in it. And then I got, like I said, we'll probably talk about that, but I got enough recognition. I got to race for the factory Nissan team then later on. So but that was kind of how that started. It was really just John said, hey, you should give this guy a call.
That's awesome.
So the factory Nissan team was this one, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. That's when you were with Art Schmidt?
Yep.
Awesome. It's funny how they're showing the trucks at their base in it, kind of.
Yep.
You can take that out on the track and win.
Right.
Yeah, so let's pivot then to the Nissan days. So did that come after you already had started your team, or when did that?
So, yeah, I raced my own team 2000. So it'd been 2000 and 2001. My first year, like I said, I took third in points. I didn't qualify for rookie of the year or anything back then because I already raced this too many other. So I really didn't worry about rookie of the year. I was more trying to just get experience, trying to move up the ladder as quickly as I could. I mean, it was my dream to be a professional race car driver full time, like a lot of these other guys are doing, Yeah. But so yeah, then I raced that for 2000 season and 2001 partial season. Motors cost too much, just was getting too expensive. So then I didn't finish the season in 2001, and then in 2002, that year there again, John gave me a call and said, "Hey, Art's, starting this multiple truck team because Johnny's shop, they were building the trucks for them were all built in John's shop by Keith Stamper."
Yeah.
So Keith was building them, but using John's shop at the time.
Yeah, that's when his shop was still in the works. Yeah.
Right. So they also had a third driver, Joe Woodkey, but then Art added me onto the team, and that was in 2002. And then I actually was the first one to win in the for the team as the group, at Bark River. Yep. Both my Pro Lite wins are at Bark River. And then
that's why it's your favorite track.
Yeah. And then I raced for them from 2002 to 2005, I think was my last season.
So then when you were part of the Nissan team, was it like all under the same tent at the track, or?
yeah, we had a pretty big show, I guess, if you will. It was pretty cool. But there's 2 semis, and it was all 3. At the time, it was 3 pro lights, and it went down. The only first year was 3 pro lights, and then the other 2 years, it was just 2 Art and I. And then the last year with them, I don't know if there's any picture on here with it, but the last year, then I was actually had a Rancho Shock sponsorship. So Art had just the Nissan colors, and I had yellow and kind of the same look, but it was yellow in the front.
Okay.
And it had Rancho Shock and still had Nissan on it, but they weren't the primary last year.
Okay.
So we just had to kind of start segregating. And so, yeah, it was all factory ride, pretty much showed up with my helmet. I did some help. I did a lot of shock building and stuff like that on the team, but mostly it was just show up and drive, and then at the racetracks, of course, you had to do some work too, but for the most part, it was just kind of a hired driver, I guess, if you will. And then there was no pay per se. Everything was paid for. I mean, I did get to keep some of my winnings, but it was not like a paycheck or anything.
Yeah. But you still are doing something really fun for free almost.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was free. Yeah.
So did you enjoy the time when you had your own team, or did you enjoy the Nissan time more?
I would say that the Nissan time was different than I expected it to be. But that was probably on me. I didn't know how to handle the factory stuff and how all that worked, and being teammates was different too. Who wins? Sometimes there's a little bit of factory. Art was the guy, so you get a little bit from hints, not from Art ever. This was never Art says you go 100 miles an hour, but you get it from the Nissan person to say, hey, better let Art go through, or whatever. I never did good with that, so I didn't really listen very well. But there was just a lot more politics than I expected.
That makes sense.
But that, like I said, if I could do it all over again and know what I know today, I think it would have been a lot better, because it's just business, really, is all it is. I mean, I learned this at the end. You just go and win, and then all of a sudden you're the top guy, right? Yeah. You don't, you'll go do your best, and if you beat the guy that's supposed to be the top guy, they'll pivot on a heartbeat on who's their number one, and then all of a sudden, they're carrying your trophy and patting you on the back, and so it's just, when you're on that situation, yes, you have to be polite, yes, you have to be professional, but at the end of the day, it's your job to go win.
Yeah. You hear it all the time if you're watching F1. I like you using this as a reference because they do a lot of good radio, like the radio for the teams. You hear it all the time where, there's quote-unquote second driver, move over, let him through. And then sometimes the driver doesn't listen either.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm out here to win too. Like, if he's going to pass me, he's got to do it on his own.
It didn't happen very often, but it was said once, and it actually kind of motivated me. So then after that, didn't have to worry about telling me that anymore.
So was there kind of like, when you have those team aspects, they're trying to get like, I hate to keep on referencing that one. Maybe it's because it's your shirt. But they go for the, what is it called, the drivers' championship, and then the constructors' championship, which is like the team's championship. Do they kind of look at it that way back in the day when they had a bunch of teams?
No, I don't recall if they had a team championship.
Okay.
I think it was just driver championship.
Just drivers, okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I say that, like Art, like I said, Art was, we ended up being really good friends. And, the interesting thing about Art, I'll go back on their story and his team, is when I raced this Jack Link's truck,
Yeah.
Art was known for making sure the rookies knew that they were rookies. But I was beating Art, and I still remember a conversation with his team, like, trying to intimidate me a little bit, because we would bang and Art would bang, and I basically told Art at the time, I said, if you want to play that game, I'll play that game. I know how, so it's kind of a confrontation. So the interesting part about was when I got hired for him, I was surprised because I didn't think he really, we had kind of a rivalry, if you will,
Yeah.
even when I was on my own. Because, I mean, you only can imagine that I got this 20-foot car trailer, right? And they got this big semi, and I'm very competitive. I took third, so I'm beating these big guys, right?
Yeah.
So it was interesting that when we got the deal, we ended up being pretty good friends, and we talked up, set up, and I think he respected me and I respected him, and I still would consider him a friend at this point. But early on, that Jack Links deal, I wouldn't have thought that he would ever hire me.
Yeah.
I remember telling John, I said, he ain't going to hire me. He doesn't like me. He said, just call him.
That's awesome.
And it seems like the best advice you can give to anybody that wants to be a professional driver is make sure your phone number is in Johnny's phone.
It's probably,
He's a real good salesman.
In my case, I have to say that. I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't work hard too, but I mean, he had a lot of connections, and I had more connections because he had Rob McCacken working in his shop at the time. So even when I was the year that I won my buggy championship, I mean, Rob was friends with Adam Weck. So Adam Weck wanted to get into engine building up here. So then I sent my motor down to him. Adam looked at it, built the better one. So I got Adam Weck sponsorship. So that kind of, I think, catapulted Adam Weck into being preferred buggy engine supplier up in the area for a while over Fat, because Fat was dominating, And then when I went that, I think there's quite a few that actually started buying his motors then. So
it's just a lot of good opportunities aligned at the right time for the right people.
Yeah, you gotta hang around. I always say you gotta hang around with the right people, right? You gotta hang around with the people that are winning, the people that have, so you can see how they do it, I don't know, that you're going to learn more by hanging around with those. If you want to be the best, you got to hang around with the best, I guess is what I would say.
Absolutely.
And then did you build your relationship with Johnny at the racetrack? Is that kind of how that started?
I don't really know. I mean, it started, I remember years ago when I first started racing buggies, my first race with him, and I remember him telling him to put my goggles down because I didn't have them down. He was next to me, that one in Oshkosh. I'm sure he would not remember any of this, but to me at the time, because he was the guy that was winning, and everything. And then I went up to him one day at Crandon and asked him about some stuff, and he invited me over to his track that everybody talks about, right?
Yeah.
And I actually put him in the car to listen to how he drove it. And that's how I kind of learned how to do the side stepping and all that stuff, just by listening to him. So somehow in that, it just started transpiring into, maybe I was a nag, I don't know. But he always seemed to help me. He helped me. The other thing I would say, too, is, learn how to do stuff yourself, right? Yeah. Shocks, for example. I mean, he taught me how to do shocks. And that was one area where I feel that's why I did as well as I did, because I could figure out how to set the truck up. And that's not really a lot of money, right? Yeah. Suspension is pretty. So I think it just over time, somehow he just decided to teach me a lot of stuff, and then I guess turn into a friendship.
And then convince you to do a lot of cool things.
Well, right.
That's what good friends do. Yeah. Heck, you made me convince me to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what cool friends do, right?
Yeah. I mean, even in the day that back in, I don't know, if there was a time when Core and there's another series they were splitting. They split.
World Series.
Yep. And they weren't sure if they're going to have pro racing in both or whatever. So they were talking, Jeff Kincaid and them, they were talking about they'd have to have two trucks, or maybe a truck in one series, and they were going to be in one series. So I even got to drive Johnny's truck on his test track because they were prepping me possibly to drive one of that truck in that other series that they weren't sure how it was going to go.
Yeah.
But it ended up not splitting that way, so they didn't have to have it in two.
Yeah.
So then...
man, that would have been a great opportunity.
Right. Right. So that would have been the old 7S chassis, because that was right in that split where they were going to the new spec chassis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd have been an awesome opportunity.
Yes, I was fortunate. I must have just been in the right place, right time, around the right people.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of good opportunities, for sure.
Yeah. So do you think that the golden era of short course has already happened, or is it going to happen yet?
I would like to see it get bigger, but I feel like when I was in it, I felt like it was probably the golden era I mean, you had so many names that are now being in the Hall of Fame that they're. I was looking online for this, trying to prepare for this a little bit, and just seeing all the names that were there when I was racing, and when Kurt LeDuc and Jack Flannery, Scott Douglas. I mean, you had all. So I feel like around here, and of course, we talk about Johnny and Taylor and all the Midwest people. I feel like that was probably, we had ESPN, we had pretty decent TV back then, right?
Yeah.
And even when it was soda, it seemed like the sponsors were there. The contingency sponsor were tires. I don't know, do people even get tires anymore in all the classes? I mean, they would get free tires all the way down to the buggies back in those days, So
Yeah, I don't know many buggy drivers getting tires, but there's truck guys are still getting tires. But
yeah,
you gotta really be the top tier guy.
yeah. I mean, they would have them all the way down. Like I literally, when I was racing 1600. I could roll my tires up, and I got ahead of some of the truck drivers that were, in the middle of the pack. But because I was at the top of the pack in my class, you kind of got.
Yeah.
So I don't see that across the whole board as much anymore. Like it used to be all across from light all the way to the pros, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the best shows I thought that got put on was when Lucas was doing it. Right, I mean they had that figured out for the shows. I should even back up. It was when Core did it when Baldwin. That's when it kind of started.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we gained a bunch of tracks that time period.
right, and Lucas kind of took those all over.
Yep.
It seemed like it was growing really fast there at the end, and then the housing market went out and everything went. So it seemed like that's when it had its biggest push.
Yeah.
And then now all these different series and the economy and COVID and whatever else is just like any other business. It seems like now it's kind of more not as popular or booming.
It's not as booming.
I mean, during Torque, they had all those little kind of like F1 does, with their what is that called? That show where they kind of show people in their personal life.
Oh yeah. So that. Like off the track. Type.
Yeah, so they had that in Torque. They had some shows. I just feel like it was really booming at that time, right about the end of 2002, 3, 4. When things were starting to grow. But
yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus too. Like it was really booming back then, and will it ever get back there? I don't know. Because even you brought up the ESPN. Like, even if you go back and watch ESPN broadcasts, like, even their in-car stuff is like, wow, they're showing in-car, and we aren't even always showing in. We have it some degree for some of the races, but we don't even have that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was growing pretty fast. I mean, and there were some things I think that Marty Reed, when he came, hurt too, because I think the soda days being a club was kind of a good thing also. I don't know. I think there's goods and bads. You have to kind of, if we wanted the sport to grow, we had to do that. But the one thing that never ever seemed to happen is the pay. I mean, I know you get your sponsors and stuff, but I haven't seen that really help a lot of people. Like the guys that have it, are they even really getting big money? I don't know.
From what I know, it's not. The pay is not that great right now.
I know, but even the sponsors, dishing out when they got, say, when like Ryan Beat has Chevrolet on the side, is he really getting a pretty good chunk for that? I don't know.
I don't see his balance sheet, but if we listen to what he claims, he's getting the most funded off-road team.
Probably. Oh, he is in general.
His claim.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't know what the number is. Some of these, it seems like a lot of the bigger teams are already pretty sufficient on finances in their own bringing it to the table.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of these sponsorships they're just helping keep the wheels moving. I don't think they're actually running the whole team.
Yeah, like Bilstein, for example. Like I was I might have been the first pro truck that brought it back into short cars.
Bilstein,
yeah. On my Pro Light, that's what I had was sponsored as Bilstein shocks, and they were just starting to get back into it. But now they're basically look like they're a title sponsor for some of these trucks, and I'm like, holy man, they're for a shock company. That's,
They're getting big into. I would say the last 2 years they've gotten pretty decent size into the bypass world
okay.
for the shocks, like the 2.5s.
Well, I had bypass in mine too.
But it seemed like prior to 2 years ago, obviously it was like Fox was the big name, but now we're seeing a lot of Bilstein.
Right, but I meant for a title sponsor to be a title sponsor. Are they getting shocks plus, finances? I don't know. I mean, it's not really my business, but what I look at is you get a lot of these sponsors or a lot of these teams. Are they really getting the funding that they need?
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I think social, this is good because we're promoting the sport, but then you got other people that are doing it just to get views, and they can get Bilstein on a shirt or something, do a TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
tough too. Like nowadays, you don't have like going back, you have the manufacturers involved, like Nissan and things like that. You're not seeing the manufacturers in, other than UTVs. They still have that to some degree, but other than that, you've almost all but lost the manufacturers, like it used to be.
Even UTV now, we're seeing that struggle start because we had Yamaha and Polaris and Can-Am that had factory drivers, and now Yamaha is discontinuing their sports line. So now we're going to see Polaris and Can-Am wasn't really that much of a figure when you were talking of the three. So I think we're going to see that struggle start to come to UTVs now, where we're not getting the actual manufacturer support.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's where I just worry a little bit about that, And I think that might even transition even to the series. I don't know what they're, although I did see some sponsors this year that was kind of, like Brunt and a couple others things that seemed like they got a little bit branched out there more. So, I mean, it's a different style of, I wouldn't say demographics because all that fits pretty well with the series, but I mean, it seems like they're doing that more.
Yeah. I would definitely think in recent years we've seen a good movement from the series to get more sponsorship and get more out there.
Right.
So we were speaking of the Hall of Fame just recently here, and the 2025 gala just happened, and that we have inducted one Hall of Famer from the Midwest, Dan Van Heuvel, and then there was 2 Impact Awards that was Owen and Keegan. Yeah, Owen and Keegan for the Impact Award. So thinking of like the Midwest representation, even the short course representation in the Hall of Fame, who do you think is somebody that can potentially be added to that list in the years to come? You named off a few that are already in there, but
yeah, I mean, there's so many. So, I guess the one person that comes to my mind, because I looked up to see who all were in there, and I was surprised there wasn't more, to be honest with you. But and the good news is that I think there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to get put in there in the future years. But I guess I would say probably Jeff Kincaid would probably be a name that I would probably throw out there because of Jeff's involvement with the Johnny and him on that team with the Pro Lite team, and they're so dominant. And then Jeff continued to be dominant. Heck, between the two of them, I think they had Jeff had like 7 championships, Johnny had 5, and and then they moved on. And then from a fabricator standpoint of what Jeff continues, to do, I guess just I would say just between that, I would say that he would be between his fabrication and his building skills and innovation, and also his racing would probably be one that I guess I thought of. I mean, there's more, 2 I'm sure but seeing Johnny just got put in last year, I would say Jeff would probably be on that list.
Yeah, and everything he's kind of doing with Keegan as well is a factor to put in there.
Right.
And I mean, what you do to help the sport. I mean, there's certainly things that he's done to help the sport throughout the years.
Right. I mean, he's kind of the same. I mentioned John a lot, but Jeff was there too the whole time, and Jeff also helped me out with a lot of things throughout. It might be fabricating or whatever it might be. So I just think that he would probably be a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, most aggressive driver in the past 5 years, you think? Which one would you put as that title?
Oh, man, didn't even give me this question. It's on the spot.
I gotta catch you. I gotta catch you off guard a little bit.
Yeah. I just love watching the guy. I mean, I guess I'm sticking to the pro classes mostly.
Yeah.
And I probably have one for sportsmen also, but from a pro standpoint, it's hard to beat Kyle Duke. I mean, Kyle Duke, that guy throws it in backwards a mile away, and and just his style was very aggressive. I remember him getting up on a wall at Dirt City, and they always say you can't pass at Dirt City in these big trucks, but I saw him going from the front to the back twice that day. So you can pass, you just have to have enough balls to do it, I guess. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, just watching him, I would say for a pro that'd be the guy that was, unfortunately he passed. I mean, that his style was always fun to watch. You never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the
Anytime
second
he showed up at the track, you're like, this is going to be a good show.
Yeah.
And also I liked it because it then CJ would bring out a different CJ, to be able to compete, which was always fun.
I compare that same statement you just made about CJ. I compare that to when RJ shows up.
Yeah.
Then it seems like suddenly everything gets elevated.
Yeah, RJ's pretty aggressive too, but I would say Kyle probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
hands down.
Because I raced against Kyle in the pro light days, and I can't remember the track, but there's in-car camera somewhere where that guy would just launch it, and he just was all balls out all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 100% sums it up.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
From the sportsmen, though, I would say that watching them is pretty impressive, and it probably frustrates a lot of the guys. But I lost their names. The two twins, Schultz.
Yep.
They're the one of them for sure in the 1600. He can come from front to back, and he makes his way through pretty.
Yeah, I think you're referencing Connor.
Yeah, he pushes his way through pretty good, and it kind of reminds me, like it's going to make people mad, but I remember back in the day when I raced, I was going to the front. I wasn't,
Yep.
like Johnny always said. He says you bring your friends to the racetrack, you don't make them. So
That is 100% John.
That is a very accurate statement.
So-
and good advice.
Yes.
So I mean, you're going to ruffle some people's feathers, but at the end of the day,
They're there for a job.
you're going there to win.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right, so 2025 season, we've seen some tracks get added that were not on the usual schedule. One of them being Wheatland and then Glen Helen. What did you think about Wheatland?
Well, I watched all the races, I guess, on Flow.
Yeah.
It looked, well, the first day it looked like it rained out, so it was pretty sloppy,
pretty
and
sloppy,
it was hard to tell. And then the second day, I mean, it was decent racing. I think the track has, some. I was surprised there's no crowd. I guess when they showed the stands, that there was a very minimal crowd there. I know it's in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
right?
that's the biggest probably challenge.
Because I've been there once, but I think the track and the facility is what everybody says. It looks like it's awesome. I mean, in the dirt races that they have there and all that stuff, it just doesn't seem to be bringing the, and it's not that far away. So I think it fits good with the schedule.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they can build it back up, or if they have to parallel it with maybe one of their dirt races, or something. And when we raced out there, when I went out there and helped the team, they paralleled it with, there was a dirt race there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was their weekly one, or if they had like I think they might have a weekly one, or they used to.
Yeah, they had a weekly one that was there when we were there.
Okay.
And I think it happened to, like, the one that was a special beforehand got rained out, so some of that special bled into it. Because I remember in the beginning they ran, like, some features, and then they got back to the regular schedule. But I think, having something advertised that's, like, a big special with that, and then having the off-road same time would be a beneficiary.
But from a race, I guess just looking at it, I didn't get the race on it, but I mean, it looks kind of cool. You know, on the big fly jump that they have, that thing looks pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
And
A few drivers can tell you how intimidating it is.
and I feel bad for Darren Parsons.
Yeah.
But that it looks cool from a spectator standpoint, but I bet you got to have, you have to hit it just right or have enough confidence in everything to hit it wrong. Because obviously, if you hit it just a little too fast, it's not so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this season too, like with the rain, it did not help the face of the jump. A lot of drivers were saying there was like a divot that formed on the face of the jump. So if you hit it one time, your truck did something, but if you hit the divot wrong, it wanted to upset the truck.
Yeah, I mean, from an aspect of a lot of people said, "Oh, we don't show or they don't show the capability of these vehicles to the full potential." Like the jumps or tracks aren't as aggressive as they need to be. I know Kyle Leduc used to say that quite a bit, and I think he's right to some degree. But so that's why I think that's cool. When Lucas was there, it put on a pretty good show. I thought it was fine. I think the track has potential. I just will it bring the crowd? I don't know.
It had numbers that mimicked ERX's first year.
Okay.
So if it follows the same pattern, and continues to grow as ERX does, because now ERX is at, gosh, I said this in a past episode, but I believe ERX is now up to a Bark River number.
Oh,
Does that sound about right? What I'm saying? I think it's about a Bark
Maybe.
River number. So.
and also the stands. any track that has those stands like that, makes it look, if they're not full, it makes it look. When you got a hill or something, it looks, I don't know, more packed, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. Or if there's less people on a hill, it's not as noticeable as like the stands being empty.
I would vote for Wheatland being like mid-season. They got grandstands that are underneath a steel structure, so it's got a roof.
Could get hot down there though.
Yeah, but at least you're out of the sun, because it
That's
gets
true.
hot at ERX too.
That's true.
They have like two things. The later you get in the season, the heat and then the weather.
Oh, true. Yeah.
They get a little bit more nasty weather down there.
Yeah. I suppose there has been tornadoes that have swept that thing off its feet.
Yeah, just one, right?
Yeah, just one that hit it directly.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, one is, I guess, more than they probably want. But I don't know. I mean, I from just as a fan standpoint, the track looks cool. It has some neat things about it. It kind of does some turns the opposite way because you get the cross.
Yeah.
It just does some things with the crossover and stuff like that. So I thought that it has a lot of good potential for some good racing. But I don't know. I mean, I never really went there and raced it.
So how about Glen Helen then? Have you been to that one?
Glen Helen?
Yeah.
I raced Glen Helen years ago when it was still an old track, like I mentioned.
Okay, yeah.
And it goes way up on that hill and it drops down. So back in the day, they had a winter series there, and there was a couple, Core had it, and it was a winter series, I guess. So the area, I know where the area is. It's kind of, but as far as the racetrack and being at it, other than watching it on Flow, it didn't. That one looked much more entertaining than I guess Wheatland would have.
Yeah.
So just the banging and just the drama that it created, and just watching. Again, poor Dylan's on my story, but watching Dylan, I thought he was doing a really good job on that race, and then he gets bumped and it's off the track he goes, and it's like there's just a lot more of that happening, which from a fan standpoint, it's more entertaining, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he said it was pretty dark back there.
And imagine.
Yeah.
There's no track lights back there.
Yeah, they need to add some lights, but I guess if you don't drive off the track, then you don't have to worry about it.
No, I don't think he wanted to.
Oh no, he didn't want to. He didn't want to.
He's kind of helped, I think, if I remember.
Yeah, there was some contact prior to, but yeah.
But that's what that does. That style. So I like the short track racing.
Yeah.
That's where I feel it is more entertaining, a little bit more banging, more fender rubbing. You have more opportunity to set up people. If you're aggressive, you'll probably do better at that than if you're not. So
Kind of like
it's kind of a contact sport. Everybody. I know fiberglass is expensive. I bought it, but I mean, at the same token, is you're out there to race and win too. So
Yeah. They make plastic recorders now.
okay.
They make them for a reason.
I always thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah, they don't look super great, but they don't break nearly as much.
Okay.
So, if you were the guy making the schedule for say next year, even though we know the schedule, but if you were the guy making the schedule, what tracks would you add on or remove, or what would be your fantasy schedule?
Oh, that's hard because I'm not really, making those. But I mean, I think the Midwest is important to be in, right? So this is where we're based, and this is where it's growing. It's always been. It's kind of been the foundation of everything. I mean, you've had 2 series in the West Coast come and go, kind of. They were great, but they always end up coming back here in the base. And I don't know if that's just the Midwest work ethic or love for it or what it is. But so I think you got to keep those tracks going. So all the tracks that we have right now, I think are great. Like the short track, Dirt City. I know everybody says it should be maybe a little bit bigger, but again, it's a short track. It's something that you're supposed to do. You might have to push people and have some drama around it a little bit here and there. I think that creates good stuff. So as far as the schedule goes, I do think it's good to branch out if we're going to grow the sport back to how you asked me earlier of the glory days. I mean, I think they have to branch out somewhere, and they have to look at the markets that make sense. And I would say you have to go back out to Chula Vista, or not Chula Vista. But is that where it was, or
Glen Helen?
Glen Helen. You have to go back out there, and do that one.
I wish we were going to Chula Vista.
Well, that was where I raced once, so that was pretty cool. So that's why I was saying that. For the Nissan Nationals, that was pretty neat. Is that even existent anymore, though?
I think that has turned into housing, not a track anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that in Lake Elsinore is definitely a housing district. Honestly, I think only your other options out west are Firebird.
Okay.
So,
I mean, if they're gonna go out there for that, I feel like they should have another one.
Yeah.
Right. And I kind of also believe that they should be in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Just because that way people have to go.
Yeah.
You don't have to, so they should be 1, 2, and then maybe, I don't know if you have to put Wheatland in the schedule. I don't think it's that far away from the base, really. They could probably have that at any time in the schedule. But, I mean, maybe that makes sense just because of weather, make the 2 out west, Wheatland, and then start coming back to the normal schedule.
So,
but you probably could have races later, too, so around here, although that is a crapshoot. But if you have to look at the weather patterns, I mean, look at now. It's still November. There's still no snow.
Yeah.
And we've had some pretty nice days. I mean, you might have to bundle up. So maybe they can go longer here, too. But
I still think they could do a frozen rush on Crandon.
that would be cool. I thought that's neat.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll ever do it, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
The tire mold still exists from what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess just hearing the input from all the drivers, they need longer in between each race.
Yeah.
So if you can make the schedule bigger, or what I mean, like one a month or one every, whatever, and spread it out where you have the good weather, that might be something that they do. Because it sounds like, they need more time,
I mean, back in your day, they were pretty close scheduled.
Yeah, I mean, when I started racing, and I think I looked at a soda schedule, we had 12, I think, at times, And that was just really club racing, right? But it got bigger and bigger. So, I mean, we still had tire sponsors. We still had contingencies. We still had all that stuff. That's where we got our money, or the track money. So, I mean, we were racing every other week, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, things are different now, but I don't know why, and was it 2 weeks between or 3?
Right now, we're usually 3, and then there's one occasion that's 2 weeks.
But to be fair, you're in the garage, tearing down, washing.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do a lot of social stuff. I was basically in the shop every day. Missed a lot of family stuff, whatever, because I had to get the car ready. But that was a priority. That was what I wanted to do. That's what I woke up for. So it wasn't. I'd work in the garage get done work at 5 o'clock and work until midnight, and did that every day and every Saturday, and went to the races. Didn't have a lot of go play pool with your buddies or go to the beach or do whatever. You were racing. That's just how we were.
Yep.
And it
but your
seemed
buddies
like,
came to you and
yeah, I
came
mean,
in the shop
you did
and-
have some, right?
Yeah, and
doing that,
socialized and probably tried to empty your fridge or
Yeah.
whatever they tried to do.
So now I don't know. I mean, I know everybody wants a little bit more of a personal life, so I think that's maybe where it comes from. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So a West Coast track question. Las Vegas, you raced at that one, right?
Yes.
Was that like a pop-up track that they just created? Or
Yep.
was that at, that was just a pop-up? Okay.
Yeah, they did that. Made it on the oval track where they have a dirt oval.
Yep,
there.
in the Las Vegas
Motor.
Motorplex or
Yep.
whatever they call
So
it.
there's a dirt oval, and they just made it kind of like they do at Anigo or
Chicago.
or wherever else. Well, Chicago has, well, unless they do it different now, but I thought that they had the track off to the side.
Last time that I raced Chicago, which was the last time we raced there, it was in the dirt oval.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was infield and then you go around, come
Okay.
back on the oval.
Okay.
So
That's at Joliet? Or is that a different one?
yeah, that was at wherever it is, right by it's on the same grounds as
The drag strip?
the drag strip and the big NASCAR
Okay.
track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just made it inside the oval,
Okay.
kind of like Anigo.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's the model that they have to start looking at. I don't know. So
Yeah. So you can keep on utilizing tracks that are in
and
existence.
that have facilities for it all that can handle it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And good viewing. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong when it's in an oval and you got grandstands surrounding it.
I remember watching the race for Torque back in the day. It looked like that was starting to grow pretty big at the Chicago race.
It was. I went there multiple times, and it seemed every year is growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, one track I miss is Redbud. I was
Okay.
there I raced on it, the last version, so the pop-up one that they made,
Okay.
where it was like a parking lot, and they carved in a track.
Yep.
But that was fun. I think you raced that one, right?
Yeah, I think I did too. Yep.
Yep.
That was real sandy.
Oh yeah, really sandy. And
Yeah.
then wherever there was like the jump up,
Yeah.
whatever they call that, the leap or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leap up, and then the left-hander was like compacted pebbles or something. It was like super slick.
Right.
But yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. So I mean, they went all over, right? Tracks were made all over.
Yeah. So speaking of tracks and making tracks, so I know you're involved with the track. A lot of teams call their home track in Dirt City. Can you kind of talk about how you got involved at Dirt City and what your role was?
I got involved because they said they were going to start building an off-road track, and I raced for many years, and I really thought that, to give back to the series or the sport that I love, I would try to help. And I grew up in a town just north of that, Coleman. So Lena's kind of where I grew up, and so I knew a lot of people there. So I thought, oh man, to have an opportunity to have a track there would be pretty cool. So I just started asking questions, and I started going there and volunteering, doing whatever they ask, moving stuff around. Even tried to, play in a bulldozer. Hulcher's let me down. He said, "Oh, just go try it and push some dirt around." So I played on that a little bit, but I was not very good at that part. So I did other stuff. But I mean, it was basically nothing, and a group of people. The Hulchers gave a lot of equipment and a lot of time, and you got Craig Peidel and all the Marquarts and the Petersons and I'm probably missing some names, but I mean that whole group there. Tom Shaw, who owns the piece of property, it just really the community and people all around just gave stuff for it, helped stuff. I know Johnny was even out there a lot. Helped doing some stuff, at least the track layout, and it was really kind of amazing to see how it went from a field to a racetrack. I think not even about a year, not even a year.
I think it was about a year.
And we were having our first side by side or practice, I think it was, and it was a lot of work every weekend there for that first year. But now, all I really kind of do now is I don't go there too much to work on the weekends anymore, so most of my time is just volunteering during the race weekends. Most of my role right now has been in staging.
Okay.
Mikey helped me the first year, thank goodness, because I was learning. He kind of organized most of that, and then we kind of just started building from it from there. So we've been doing it now. Now it's pretty easy. I think the staging goes pretty well there.
I think you guys have a good setup there, like with the rows and then the numbers. If that's the way that you guys are still doing it, that's
Well, that's the way I did it. Not last year. Last year I was hurt, so I wasn't there, so I'm not
yeah.
sure how they did it this year, but I'm assuming they did the same.
yeah,
Seemed to work. Seemed like everybody liked it.
yeah,
But it is amazing how a group of people that love the sport and work together and start from nothing and made that track. We can complain it's, some people say it's too small or this or that.
yeah,
But there's short tracks and long tracks, and it's close. And we would have, if that track didn't do what they did, I don't think you would have one less track. So then now where are you going to go?
yeah.
So I feel like it's growing each year, and I'm pretty excited to be part of it. And I think anybody in this area should be pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I like it on the schedule. I like going there. I might get toasted in the sun. It's a little warm every time it's there, but it's still enjoyable.
And the nice thing is you're up on that hill, and it's the wind kind of comes across there, so it's not too bad because it seems like there's always a pretty decent breeze.
Yeah, that's true. You do get a good breeze up there. But it always seems like the week it's picked is like the hottest week of the summer.
Yeah.
Or it's raining, and
Yeah, shake the dice.
but that's the other thing is that track they designed it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean that one year I didn't even know we were gonna have the race, and literally they still had the race, and it was actually a track was better after it got set in and rained on. So I mean, it's built pretty well. Could it be bigger? Sure, but it will change over time as things get bigger or grow. I'm assuming.
Yeah, we just gotta buy some farm fields.
Yeah, right. They would like to, I'm sure, but the farmers really, from what I understand, not really ready to do that yet.
Yeah, as a lot of farmers are, but
Right.
maybe at that time you could, like I always thought of, and when we had the Mark Courts on, we kind of talked about this too, but the original, like, was it the Founders Club, or what was the original to get on the board you paid in? What'd they call it?
Oh,
I don't remember what it was called.
I remember I paid a fee. What was it called?
It's a membership.
Yeah,
type
membership
deal.
fee.
God, I can't
I can't remember what it's called, but I still have my card laying around somewhere.
You have a plaque, and Krueger family or whatever I put on the plaque that's on the board and stuff. So I mean, I think that was kind of cool. I guess it gave them some operating money. It wasn't that much, to do.
Yeah, I thought that if they ever got the opportunity to purchase land, that if they made another buy-in club or founders club or whatever you want to call it, and a little bit of cash might not make the world a difference, but I'm sure it would help.
Yeah. I mean,
it gives people something personally to attach to.
Yep. I mean that town works really hard, and it's been good for the town. I think it's been good for everywhere. And I don't really know what the numbers are, to be honest with you, for fans, but the hill always looks pretty packed from my standpoint of staging. So, I mean, I'm sure it's not as big as Crandon, Bark River, or those, but I mean, I think the numbers are fairly decent and they're growing.
Yeah, we have I can put down the numbers here. I don't have them on my memorized, but I'll put them on the screen. But they're always right up there with the rest of them. It's not a Crandon. Crandon is a ridiculous number.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's always exciting too. They on Friday nights they do the Thunder on Main, and all the cars go down in Lena, and I think you see the town rallies around it. They're always welcoming the fans and the racers into the establishment, so that's cool. That the whole town supports it as well.
Yeah, that Thunder on Main, that is pretty impressive. I saw a drone flying over this year, and I was I couldn't believe how many. I mean, I went the whole street. I mean, it's growing pretty significantly. And I would even like to challenge even some of the pros. I mean, some of them go down and some of them don't, but there could be a lot more that could go down, right? You know?
Yeah.
And I know it depends what happens. If they're broke, they can't. But if they can, then it just promotes the sport. It gets people excited, People don't have to pay for it, and then they might go buy a band, right?
Yeah. It definitely could draw people in.
Yeah. Where do you see Dirt City evolving in the next 5-10 years?
I'm not real sure, I guess. I just hope we keep growing, like I said, and grow with the sport. They have facilities. They have truck poles there. They have some truck poles there now. And
It's been a couple of years they've done that already, right?
And that kind of works well for that, right in front of the where the pits are, or the hot pits, I think is where the track is.
Yep.
We do the spring race or practice / race, that's still a thing. And then, obviously the big race, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's opportunity for different events there too. I just don't really know what they're thinking of, to be honest with you. I have full disclosure, I haven't been to a lot of board meeting or a lot of the meetings lately.
Yeah.
But I think they have an opportunity to do a lot of things. The town is pretty go-getters, and the group of people are. So I mean, if there's an opportunity that they could have something that would be lucrative enough, they try to use the facility as much as they can.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to buy that land and grow the track bigger, and just keep growing it. I'm sure the dream is to keep it going bigger, just like all the other tracks are.
Yeah. I honestly think that they could pull off like a monthly race that was kind of devoted more towards sportsmen. I honestly think that they could rally in enough buggy drivers, UTV drivers to make a monthly show out of it.
A monthly show? I mean, kind of like not a weekly, like a dirt race, but more of a smaller once a month.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to be in between the normal races.
You'd have to be in between the normals, because Roundy Round Dirt Oval stuff runs weekly, and they pull in usually an okay amount of fans. I think if you had it monthly, that 1,600 light buggy, stock truck, super stock truck, the UTVs on the sportsman end would definitely come to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that myself. Why can't we do more of something like that when I was racing? Like, why can't there be more a draw? Like, what draws everybody to the circle track? I think what it really draws it to the circle track more is it's a night out for a lot of people, right? And it's like, hey, I'm gonna go meet my friends at the track. We're gonna have some burgers and some beers, and we're gonna bet on who's gonna win that race.
Absolutely,
So I think it becomes like a night out for a group of people, and that's why they have that, because it's weekly. For off road, it's an event like Crandon is. That's why they have such a good crowd, because now it's a weekend event. It's a tradition.
It's
almost.
a party,
right? It's a party, but it's a tradition because they do it. It's on the same weekend every year, and people do it, and they hear about it, so now they keep going, right? So these other tracks, they don't have that as much, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you get that. Would a weekly or monthly thing, like you said, help Dirt City grow and help the sport grow? It'd be interesting. I mean, again, we need more volunteers then.
Yeah.
Because that's.
But we've talked when I brought this up with multiple pros, and they said that that's something that they're a lot of even the West Coast guys or the guys that are buying shops or renting shops in the area. They're like, yeah, we'd totally go watch it. Or even some of them said, yeah, we would volunteer.
Okay.
Like a helper in the staging. I don't think you're going to find Jimmy Henderson waving a yellow flag on the corner, but I think that you could find a lot of the crew guys that would say, oh yeah, if we're not busy doing our stuff, why wouldn't we go watch racing, and why wouldn't we help support the grassroots end of it?
Yeah.
So, I think if you're going to do it though, it's got to be like a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like you can't expand it like a weekend, or it's got to, if it's monthly, it's got to be like a one night event. And then it's like, what classes do you pick?
Yeah,
and then can you even have night racing?
Yeah, you can light that place up probably.
You probably could. I mean, it's small enough, so that's something that I would think that they would look at eventually, because I think there's an aspect of night racing, in every track should have its own identity, and I feel like out of all the tracks we have, Dirt City probably has the opportunity to make a night racing their identity, because it's small.
Yeah.
So and it's all compact, so you can probably light it up with lights and do that.
No close residence either.
Not really. And it's up in the hill, so it's kind of so I don't know. So I would think that it's possible. But I don't know. I was wondering about the weekly race or the monthly race, because everybody's saying the schedule's so tight now, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know where you would fit it in. That's why I'm like, you would have to fit into the current schedule, and then you would have to make it a one-day thing, not like a whole weekend, because you already know so many sportsmen are giving up all their PTO for the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you just keep it limited enough class-wise, that you can roll through it through a night.
I mean, that is one thing that I enjoyed about the sprint car racing is you literally pull in, You open your gate, you roll out, and you got your lights there, you know. And if the weather's bad, you're not racing, so you don't have to have the awning and everything. It's at night. You go, you do your hot laps, or you know, pack the track, hot laps, whatever you want to call it, and then you're qualifying, and then your heat races, and then your B and A or whatever it is, how many, and you're done, right? But there's races in between.
Yeah.
But everything's moving real fast. So they have, you know, like 4 or 5 different races going at classes, right?
Yeah, everybody has that same schedule. They're just offset.
Right. So my point with that is there a way to I know the big semis and the big show and all that stuff is good, but they also have this in late models and all that too. Is there a way to where our show is more like that, where they pull in, they roll the Pro 4s out with the Pro 2s and whatever, and we have maybe a more show with that, right? They're the main show to the sportsman, and you do it in a quicker fashion.
Yeah, if you only have one race, you don't have to pull up the whole semi. You can pull up like Keegan Kincaid on a smaller enclosed,
Right.
with enough tools to make your adjustments and maybe change a couple little things, but you don't have to carry all the spare third members and a rear end and control arms and a welder and
I mean, I just feel like sometimes the pace gets long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you go down to like 5 or 6 classes, maybe 2 trucks, 2 buggies, a UTV class or something, all of a sudden you got a very manageable schedule on like a Saturday night.
Right, and I mean, I know everybody's saying, well, what about all the other classes? You still have them, but they're maybe done on a different day or a different weekend, you know, as more like a...
Revolve them, yeah.
You know, so I mean, you could spitball all day long, but it feels like, you know, you got to figure out a way to have a show.
Yeah.
Right? That's the difference.
Speaking of shows, challenge race, they had a super stock race or super stock versus stock truck race there just recently, and we were discussing earlier about other challenge races that would always happen in the truck days for you.
Yeah, I mean,
and buggy days.
Buggy days, yeah. I mean, when I was racing, every weekend, almost every track had a challenge race. And basically, it started out like 1, 2, 1600 because you had 2-seater and 1-seater, so you could race either or. But then when that went away, they would just have the limited challenge, which was all the same cars really. But it really would be just a race where you pay your entry fee and then the track would kick in some money. So it was actually a money race. Okay. And it helped fill the schedule. You know, it was normally on Sunday. And that was normally just 1600 or single buggy had it. And then so did 9. But then one year, Crandon actually did a class 9 or super buggy kind of and 16 or single buggy challenge where they did the stagger start.
Oh yeah.
And they let us go first. And I remember, I believe it was Bernlorg, the dad, I think, these kids that are winning now. He had got into Mike Seafelt, and they got black flagged. Oh. And I was running. Mike and I were running 1-2. He was 1, I was 2. And then he caught us, and Bernlorg bumped me and Mike, and they black flagged them. And I don't know if Mike went in by accident or whatever with the black flag too. But then I inherited the lead. But then at the end, another buggy jumped past me because they're quite a bit faster. You know, kind of like Pro 2, Pro 4 thing. And then I kind of just bonsai'd the barn jump and passed him back and then held him off and won the race. And there was some controversy that it was a controversial pass because I'm crazy, they said, because I jumped open wheel like basically almost over that car. but still won the race. And it was a good paying race and it was fun and a lot of drama ensued from it. But, you know, that's what made it fun, right? Because it was a 1600 guy beat all those super buggy guys, right? They're not. It shouldn't have ever even happened, right? So
that's crazy. That's awesome.
Stuff like that, you know, would go on with those, and then they had all different kinds of stuff like that to fill the races, and we race much longer.
Yeah, well, that's like now with so many classes, those are becoming so unique because they no longer need the time fillers,
right? Well, they don't have enough time for what they have because when I raced UTV, it felt like your blink of the eye and your race was done.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so short.
Yeah. Yeah, you get whatever 12 minutes on the clock or whatever it was,
Yeah, no,
or 14, depending on what class you were.
right.
Yeah, and it goes by quick.
But yeah.
That's why so many people always talk about seat time. Like, if you sometimes now even like the light buggy guys will race in the back end of a single buggy race just for seat time if they got new car or something, because that race is so short. You need more time in the seat.
Right. I mean, that was a nice thing about when they had the challenge races. So when you got into 1600 or whatever, that was one of the reasons I picked the class. Single buggy is what they call it now, but right? Is that what they call it? Single buggy?
Yep.
And is because at that time you got so much seat time.
Yeah.
You know, you could race 3 races for sure a weekend. You know, where a lot of other classes, you know, you race once.
Yeah.
You know, so the buggies gave you opportunity to get more seat time, and then you got your practices. You had more time practices. I mean, they've. I understand why they got so many classes, but I also think it dilutes how much track time you get.
Oh yeah,
as a
absolutely.
driver.
Yeah, absolutely. With speeds increasing and everybody's pushing the limits, accidents are bound to happen. Do you have one that's most memorable or most notable wrecks?
Yeah, I mean, I probably my hardest one in the buggy, or excuse me, the truck was Crandon when I was racing for Art Schmidt in turn 1. Got together, it was kind of muddy corner, got together, and I was on the outside, so they pushed you until you hit that berm, kind of goes up on that bank there. And I just kicked me up. They claim that Scotty Taylor always used to joke that he could see my tonneau cover 28 above his semi. So, and we were pirouetting and falling. I remember we tumbled a few times and it landed back on its wheels. And, you know, when they're tumbling, all I remember is when it gets quiet for a long time, you know you're really high and it's probably going to hurt. So, so that was probably one of my bad crashes. Topeka, Kansas comes to mind too, where I endoed a bunch of times through these whip section, where it ended like 3-4 times and stuff. So I mean, I've had my share of crashes. So from my recall, most of them, you know, everything just goes black for a little while, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't know why it does that. If it's just so much dirt coming in, or if you're close your eyes, I'm not sure. But things get dizzy for G forces, yeah. So.
Yeah. So obviously, like, is not only is technology advancing, but so is like the science behind concussions, things like that. What are your thoughts on, you know, how the series continues to evolve in the health side for the drivers and concussions and things around that?
Well, with off-road, I mean, it really was pretty light, and I don't know if it's really changed that much yet. I mean, all those crashes, none of those did I ever go. Well, I shouldn't say that. They did check me out at Topeka for a little bit. But the Crandon crash that I talk about, I just drove up to the rescue squad and they asked me if I was okay, and I said, yeah, I'm fine. And, you know, so I mean, raced the next day, and I don't. So, but like in the sprint car, when you crash in that or whatever, you're required to go into the ambulance to get checked out, and they check a lot of things like, you know, the stem. A lot of things they'll check is like behind the neck, because those you tumble pretty hard, pretty fast. But even if it's a simple crash, you had to go get checked out. I sometimes wonder if that should be something that's added. I don't know.
Yeah.
But off-road's been pretty, like, I don't know if I want to call it lax. It's just been the norm, right? We weren't, heck, half the time it'd be a yellow and they're just rolling the truck over and you're getting ready to start it back up. You know, most other series is you're done for the day. You know? So I don't really know what the answer for that is I know and as far as going faster, I don't know if the speeds are that much faster, maybe from 0 to that speed is. I'm not sure. But it seems like some of the crashes are pretty crazy. All my crashes happened pre-Hans, you know, we had just suspension seats, you know.
Yeah.
You do move around in those a lot more. I mean, sometimes you get done with a crash and you're off to the side a little bit out of the belts, you know. But nowadays, you get to like with Art, I had a containment seat already, and now everybody else seems to be going to those more and more. I'm not sure. I did not like the Hans when they came. I was one of those guys where I used to wear a motocross helmet, and when you put all that on, it really restricted you in your movement. You're used to moving your head when you're sliding through corners and stuff. And so that was a little bit to get used to, but it was something that we had to get used to and had to start involving and after you got used to it, it wasn't no big deal, to be honest with you. But I guess to answer your question, I don't know if I did, but safety is important, right? Most of these people are doing it for a hobby. Even the professionals, we want everybody to come back. I mean, there's some pretty crazy videos. I don't know if you ever looked on YouTube and saw the one video of John crashing through a turn with his hands and his helmet's pulled off his head. And, I mean, that's almost kind of makes you sick to your stomach to watch, right? So, I mean, that just goes to show why you need that stuff, right? And also, these trucks don't really bend much. I don't know if that's a good thing. We don't want them to break, but I feel like we should. I don't know what the answer is. I feel like any other series, they have some crush zones. We build them to last forever.
Well, we build them so that when that accident happens, we can bolt some new arms on it and go race again tomorrow.
Right, but there's no give, right?
Yeah, everything's just...
It all comes to your body.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. All I know is that, safety is important. I know maybe as a racer I didn't probably think of it as much as I should,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you want to make sure everybody comes home safe. So whatever the rules are, they should be following, I think, other series that have a little bit more testing involved.
Yeah.
And maybe there should be a better protocol, especially if it's bad enough.
Yeah, I think it's something that is consistently said, like that they're, take the next step, make it consistent, make sure, that there is more safety.
I mean, I guess one thing I would say is just to be consistent is kind of like any circle track world is, or at least when I was doing the sprint car, is if you have a crash or rollover, you have to have a visit to the rescue squad.
So in that check in the rescue squad, you said they're checking for like...
I forget what it's called, but yeah, they were checking. There's basically the neck,
Make sure your
Yeah,
head...
so there's that... Whatever Dale Earnhardt, when he had crashed, it pulls your neck. I forget what that's called. And then they're checking your eyes, and asking you questions of, where you live, what your name is, kind of a concussion protocol.
Yeah.
They don't really have a baseline. Like my daughter's an athletic trainer, and she's going to school for it. Normally they'll baseline people before, so they have like a understanding if they had a concussion, but in off-road, I think there's ways to tell your eyes are moving different ways and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think the rescue squad can kind of give you an idea, okay, you're good to go, or hey, maybe we should, take tomorrow off or something,
Yeah.
So.
And in the sprint car then, that you said that was mandatory, there was no way to say, nope, I'm good and walk away from it, or?
It was mandatory, yeah. They were right there, or you had to go in it,
Makes sense.
So on the subject of all the classes that we have, if you were to be trying to send a kid from the earliest of age that they can be in a class, which is around 5 or 6, and build them up to be a Pro 2 or a Pro 4 driver, what route would you kind of plan for them to take as far as the current classes? There's like the kid kart class, the 170, 570s, and then a plethora of UTV classes, and then
Buggies.
Buggies, super buggies, pro spec.
I guess what, probably, this is just my opinion, right? And I feel like the kid's got to show interest in what he want if they want to race, right? It shouldn't be really up to the parent to say, hey, here's this little cart and go do this. So that's step one. But other than that, too, is I think some of these kids, my opinion, are starting way too young. I feel like there's plenty to do outside of the organized racing to get them good at driving, the UTV or whatever, or go-kart or mini bike or whatever at home. And then maybe think the other thing is too is they don't get a lot of track time, really. So they're not going to develop that much. So I think somebody said it in one of your shows, or I heard it, where maybe a go-kart,
Yes.
series where you get more time and it's more weekly and you get more seat time, and even the one thing I'll even say when I after racing kind of was dabbling into the go-karts at the track in Shawano.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I would have did that throughout my early career and all that stuff, because on blacktop you have to be way more patient than you do in dirt. You have to pick your lines they're different. You kind of wait. You can't really just, because the fast line is the same line for everybody. Or dirt, you can make different lines. So there's techniques that would be helpful there, I think, for young kids to do. And I do think the trend of being 13-year-old like Wyatt and all this, it just amazes me that, or Avery and all these kids, so it must work, but I feel like somewhere where they could get more track time in a go-kart, I think would be where I would start.
I think that's a good call out, because even with the two you mentioned, they race other series where they get way more track time.
Right.
Like Wyatt's obviously a bunch of circle track, Avery's snow. Yeah. So she's getting a bunch of more seat time on other things. So I think that was a good thing that you brought up. I think you have to evolve something else where you get more track time.
Or motocross, like CJ came from, and all those.
Yeah.
I don't think we get enough track. I mean, the numbers are great. It probably helps the series. The parents are there if they're racing. It helps. But I mean, if I'm really trying to get my child ready for motorsports, I probably would start in the go-kart or motocross or something like that, where they have a little bit more time, where they can get more seat time.
Yep.
And it's going to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at carts when I went to Road America for IMSA. They had the carts on display.
Yeah.
They are significantly more affordable.
Yeah.
And the racing is significantly more affordable.
And it's fun, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done the go-karts in the dirt and on the blacktop, and if you all got the same size, same equipment, it's just as fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not. So they have adult karting
Oh, yeah.
there?
Where?
I did not know that.
The Shawano?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They used to, and I don't know if it still goes on, because I know it's changed hands, so I'm not real sure if it's there, but I'm pretty sure it is. But they had a league, too, or like you go there and you race heats and all that stuff, and you pay some money or whatever it was, and they were fun. I mean, it was a smaller track and fun. They had that. And then they also had some other racing there, too. But that track's really fun. It was the same track. I did race a UTV. That's right. That was another side-by-side. I did race that, too. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures for that. And actually, that was the year I helped Jim, and he raced.
That was actually a really
with me.
fun place with the mix of blacktop. That was what was so fun about that series, was they tried to put, it was the elements, right? They tried to put all the different elements. So that's what was kind of neat.
And Johnny was pretty darn good at mixing things up.
Right. But yeah, that's what I would start with, is the go-karts, and just cost and time and maybe, I think they just get more seat time in your home. The kids' attention span can be, that day, and then you come home. Otherwise, they're socializing, running around, and, you can have some time with them to work on the cart too,
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, and I really think that's the important thing. They have to work on their own stuff too. I guess that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I
think
I
that's
think
huge.
Being a mechanic of your own cars, or at least knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a specialist in all of it, but at least know why this does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in our sport, because they're just not big enough. You have to know how to make some of the stuff yourself, because you're not going to get it fast enough otherwise.
Yeah, or it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, better be handy or be handfuls of money.
Plus, too, I think it helps you on the track. You can tell what your vehicle's doing, and then you might be able to help diagnose, or at least put somebody in the right spot of, we need to change this. If you're working on it, you're understanding pieces of it.
Right.
Yeah. So restart section here. That's the shotgun answers.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just rattle off a short question, and you rattle off your fast answer.
Okay.
All right. I'll go first. Scariest element of racing?
Oh, I'm supposed to do these fast. This probably is not racing, but it's how much it costs you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
That is absolutely fair. Yeah. You're a dad of 2, but so here's a question: what's worse, a tire blowout or a diaper blowout?
Diaper blowout.
Yes.
Tabletop jumps or doubles?
Scaries, you mean?
Which one do you prefer?
Oh, well, I prefer, I guess, the tabletops, but the doubles are more fun because not everybody will do them.
Yeah.
So they're advantage normally.
Which do you prefer, ERX or Anago's early years of the rhythm section?
I never raced ERX, so I can't.
you didn't race
so I'm gonna
ERX.
have to pick Anago.
Okay.
I guess I didn't have the rhythm section either. So from a racer though, it seemed like the Anago ones took a lot more vehicles than the ERX ones.
Yeah.
So
There's it's a pretty close count, but I think that the Anago ones were a bit violent.
but it seemed like, I know this is a longer answer, but just watching them both, the ERX ones are faster.
Yeah.
You're at a higher rate. So if you screw up there,
You,
Yeah.
it's really gonna hurt.
they don't always show it on live stream, but in practice at ERX, the people that try, CJ's really notable for it, trying to triple the
Yeah.
rhythm section.
Yeah.
And then like the buggies try to do like a doubles sometimes. Yeah. One year in the light buggy, Jaden was like, Lemke was hitting the tops of them and the whole back end would just flip up. And if you hit it right, you could get through so fast, but it was super sketchy looking.
I would say that I never raced ERX, but when I watched it, and that was one thing when I was watching and thinking about going racing there, I'm thinking, oh, I'm looking a little, especially in the UTV, because it looks like they're very unstable when they go through there, or at least they used to in the early days, because they just kind of did one of those deals, right?
Yeah, they were too close and too deep for UTVs.
The nice thing with the UTV is 4-wheel drive. That's your friend because it can pull you flat. But I don't know. I'd probably say the ones that were probably more manageable were probably Anagos.
Yeah.
You probably could figure out how to do those better.
So there are some pro specs that are going to be for sale for this season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it could get you back into racing.
No, I would like, and I mentioned it to Mikey a little bit, but and I maybe will reach out to some other people, but I would really to see what the cost would be, but I'd really be interested if I did anything was to rent maybe a 1600 or a single buggy car. I don't know if maybe,
Mikey's got one.
I know Mikey's got one. He didn't seem real interested in renting it, but I didn't know if Dylan, or I don't know if Matt has his yet. I would
Matt
get
sold
those.
his, yeah.
That one's sold.
But Dylan's got his. And, I don't know what the plans are for it, but I think you could.
I'd like to be in a competitive car if I do it, because I really am excited for what Mike Seafold did, right? He came back, but I'd like to be interested to see if I could still run with that class. But I would think I can, but it's something I'm dabbling on, trying to do some research, either with Mikey or maybe Dylan or somebody. But Mike says the cars are so expensive, he didn't seem to be real excited about renting it, because he said the motors cost like almost as much as my whole car cost to build when I built it back in the day.
Yeah, that is it's a risky end, but I've heard times that he said it's going to be an all-star car.
Yeah.
So he would put like some people in. I think that you would qualify for that.
I would like to try it. I always kind of tease Stephanie Peitel and Craig to say let me try to use their car one weekend, but they never really. Although they didn't race it this year, so maybe I should try it. Or they didn't race much this year. Maybe I should try to ask.
Raced Dirt. I don't think. Well, she raced Dirt City. I don't think she raced Bark River or
I forget
a couple
which,
others. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about Crandon and Bark River, possibly Dirt City, just because I worked there, but maybe 3 races or something. Well, it depends how much though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have no real interest in buying a race car and maintaining a race car, and my fun now is maybe driving too fast on my UTV in the trails, but leave early in the morning when there's nobody on the trails. So
I always enjoyed the night races because then there's not many people on the trails. You got headlights coming.
Yeah.
You got the animal factor, but I'll take animals over other UTVs and 4-wheelers coming.
Yeah. So John and I we were going quite a bit. Now John seems to
Go
be
fishing.
pretty entertained with his fishing. So
Yeah, his
Yeah.
fishing pole has replaced his steering wheel.
yeah, so that's good too, though.
I think I just seen him post that he was on his way to go fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're out of the restart, kind of just like last chance type stuff, or what we call the checkered flag. But what was your most memorable fan interaction?
We've seen some pictures of autograph signing and
Yeah, there was probably some that I can't talk about.
that's the typical answer.
Yeah.
I would say, when I was at Nissan, I a couple of times I made an effort to go up, and they have that area kind of with the porch with the wheelchair and all that stuff, So we'd go up there and we'd sign some autographs for them, because they don't always get
Oh yeah.
back in the thing. So that it wasn't really necessarily interaction. You're just kind of signing autographs, but just to see that that they were appreciative of that. And I think in general, just as a racer, one of the things I liked and it was always just trying to be a role model, and these kids that come up to you and trying to you treat them with respect. So
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of. As far as stories or interactions, I don't have any cool things where people did tattoos of me or anything like that. So
I don't know many people that had that act.
I thought I saw somebody with the Greaves or something tattooed or
Yes.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
But I don't have that much popularity, I guess. So, but yeah, that's about it.
We all got to get temporary tattoos. Put it on our foreheads and stuff. What would you consider a successful season from a driver?
Well, I think it depends on where they are in their stage. I think you got to set goals each time. I mean, obviously, for me, I wanted to get better and better, and I wanted to win, and I had some drive there. But I mean, so anything better, not winning, right, was something that I wasn't trying to. I was trying to win, right. Second place was first place loser. Was my attitude at times. But I will say that that's not really probably the right way. The right way is to set some goals, to say, okay, this year I'm going to try to get top 5 or whatever, and these are my goals, and just be happy with some wins. Look at, okay, this I got better at this, or I could do this now, and I set my car up better. And then as time goes on, you keep moving your way up in there. So I mean, obviously our goal is always to win championships, but not everybody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not going to be a winner. So you have to set goals that make sense to you. So, I mean, I think winning is probably more fun than championships to some degree, because they just seem to have more weight, or I shouldn't say that. They have
It's
more excitement around them.
and
Right.
it's instant
Right.
gratification.
Right.
Yeah.
Where a championship is, okay, I did everything pretty well all year long.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of my championships. I mean, I do wish that I would have had more. Sometimes I wish I would have stayed in classes a little longer. Meaning, like, Mike's got a lot of single buggy championship. Mark Steinhardt's got a lot of single. I mean, and all these guys are in the record book for being, really good at their class. My goal is to try to keep moving up to be the professional race car driver. Right?
Yeah.
So, which I did that goal. I got to that goal. I also wish I would have actually had more wins, maybe even a championship at the level of when I was with Art, because it was a great opportunity. So, I mean, I don't have regrets because I think I have a different resume, but
Yeah.
I still have like 3 world championships, and 1 championship, but it was all really quick when I got good at the buggies. So, it depends what you're looking for, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered that.
I think
No,
I think
you
even
did.
tied into the following was what's a successful career. I think that kind of wraps that up too with
Yeah.
being
I mean, it's really everybody's different, but when I look, a lot of times as racers, you don't look back, right? So one of the things is when it was kind of weird the way this all started. I was pretty honored that I was even on the list that Mikey gave because I was only in there for a little time, right, in 1600. But I think what shows weight is that I moved up and I got recognized by some pretty major legends, that helped me along the way, getting to race on the Art Smith team. I think in being a guy just from, up north to make it to that level is, I think, a success in itself.
Absolutely.
But you don't realize that, so that's I was going back until I was looking through these books and going, I guess it was kind of, I was pretty fortunate, I guess, to get to where I got. Maybe I didn't get to some of these guys, I'm not like it just goes to show how hard it is, like the CJs and the Johnnies and all these guys that we're talking about, in the Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
That it's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, like, looking back, like, it's cool to be on a Nissan, like a team like that too, because not everybody got that opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends.
Yep. Time for the infamous question.
Yep. So we will start with top 5 greatest all-time Pro 2 drivers.
Oh, that was the hard one.
Yeah. Full disclosure, when we were creating these lists, I agree with you too. It was not easy.
Yeah.
So, number one, I don't know, how does everybody start? Number one or
let's start with
five?
5. Everybody starts with 1, and it's less climactic.
Okay.
So let's start with 5.
All right. So, I guess I have an honorable mention, I guess, for that is, Walker Evans to me was where it started on my, kind of this crazy dream to continue going. And it's crazy how I got there. And he came to Crandon with ESPN and kind of got all that going. And I guess just because he's the legend, right, of that, and he has like two or three Pro 2 championships in the short car course, and I think 2 in each, two in Pro 2 and 2 in Pro 4 in his time here. And so, I mean, I don't know, maybe he should be put somewhere on this list, but there's just so many new people now too, right? So I know I'm probably going to miss people because I was really trying to think of people and trying to get, I felt like there should be statistics behind it along with just feelings.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find statistics on it. And
that is a challenge.
Pro 2 is much harder to find. But I guess I have Walker as my 6th, if you will. Then Pro 2, the other thing is it's hard is a lot of these people race both classes.
Yes.
So I wasn't really aware of this until I was talking to somebody the other day, and then I looked it up. I got number 5, I got CJ Greaves.
Okay. CJ
Greaves has 3 Pro 2 championships and quite a few wins. And at one time, he was pretty dominant in that class. When him and Keegan were in it, they're kind of battling.
Yeah.
Then he moved up to Pro 4, and that's where he's really made his legend, right? Or most of it. Number 4, again, kind of because being both, but is Car Running Center.
Yeah.
He's got quite a few Pro 2 championships, and he was the only one to win a Pro 2 and a Pro 4 championship in both. And the reason maybe this is just to have a person, now that I have the respect of going from Pro 2 or a 4-wheel drive to a 2-wheel drive, I know it's on the UTVs, to be able to do that weekly, he really maybe should be even on a different list. I don't know, but he's one of the few that was successful at it.
Yeah. I believe CJ Roll did a Pro 2 and Pro 4.
I don't think he did them together.
Time. Was it?
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think he did.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have that confirmed, so don't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. He would. I don't know. I just was surprised that he had. I didn't remember him having 3 championships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I got to put him on the list because that was statistics, right? Otherwise, they probably had other names.
Yeah.
Again, he could go on a lot of different lists, but he's been on it probably longest. And we're talking about Lucas, or actually, I gotta back up. I have Keegan Kincaid as 3.
Okay.
Well, he's been there a lot, and I really wish Keegan and some of these drivers would just stay there and win more. Right? They win their championship and they leave.
Yeah.
And or they run a half season or whatever. I feel like Keegan could probably be all the way to number 1 if he would,
Just run full
run full seasons and stay there. And I know it's a financial thing and whatever other reasons, I don't know what they are. And I get his story all the time about what next, right? Because you hit your goal and then you got to find a new one, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Keegan is getting some fuzzy areas here with him because I think he's only got like 2, but he's got a lot of cups.
Oh yeah, he's the
4 of those.
Yeah.
He's got enough cups to play beer pong with.
Right.
Yeah.
So
He is the master at the cup.
right. So you got to give him accolades on that and stuff. So that's why I got him 3. And then this could have went back and forth, but I got Rob Mack because he's got quite a few Pro 2 when it was Lucas and stuff out there. He's got 3, and then he had 2 here, I think.
Yeah.
So he has quite a few championships. So I guess when I'm saying successful seasons, to answer your question before, is championships is what I'm wins. Them guys got. And then number 1, pretty much hands down dominated everything forever. I don't know if the competition was different, but I have Scott Taylor. I mean, the guy's got, for a couple reasons. And the reason he's there is he's a Midwest guy, started out in buggies, fabricated everything himself. I mean, he basically self-made kind of deal in a way, I would say. 12 championships, tons of wins. I mean, and that just he was the guy, for a long time in the 90s. And, there's a lot of good guys in there. Dan was there, Oberg. All those guys were during that period of time, but he just continued to win.
Yeah.
I even think Jimmy Johnson came for a while. He just kept winning.
Yeah.
So that's my top 6, I guess. But
Yeah, that's the number 1 is a pretty consistent.
when you look it up, it's probably hard to.
I met-
Either he does a really good job of putting stuff on the internet for it, so then AI finds it, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met him at the Off-Road Hall of Fame, and I certainly mentioned to him that he was on the top of a lot of people's list.
he's in the Hall of Fame, right?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what
Yep.
I thought.
So you want to roll into Pro 4 right away then?
Sure.
All right.
This one's way harder.
Hey,
I mean, not way harder. It's hard because there's so many. And in the last minute, as I was driving here, I checked a few more things, which I wasn't sure about. But I mean, when you got names like Ricky Johnson, Jack Flannery, Rick Huseman, all those guys, now you don't even have them in your original top 5. I have a hard time with it because statistically, you got to look at some of that. And I didn't do enough studying, right? So it's more of a, I'm pretty comfortable with my number 1, but I'm in between there. I'm like, I don't know. They could probably go a lot of different ways. It depends how you look at it. So I'm just going to go with top 5, I guess. And the 5th one's the hard one. I guess I have to go because I had him, Rob Mack. I know he won all those championships, with the board, with that truck and stuff. But that was Knife Rake developed that truck, and that is a crazy truck. So I mean, Rob is Rob, but I mean, I think he was more known in his championships as in the Pro 2. So Ricky Johnson, I think, is who I'm going to go with top 5.
On your 5th? Okay.
Yeah, because he's actually got Pro 2 and Pro 4 championships, but it was just so entertaining when him and Johnny were battling and back and forth and in that era, and the drama.
yeah, there was a lot of it.
So that part of it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't fun because I was, sided with the Greaves, obviously, but it was fun from a whole series.
It was entertainment,
right?
I don't even think those guys actually, I think they both understood the assignment.
Yeah, they did, but there was a lot of interesting drama going on there. But that was good for the sport. It was at the right time. That's when everything was going. And they did know that was important too. I know now they talk, and heck, they even helped develop a series kind of together, when they were doing the split. So I'm sure that it's fine, but it was still fun. Number 4, I just still have to give it to Carl. I mean, Carl Renazetter is just, he's got numbers, and he was a super nice guy, and his family was nice, and they were always very professional. And I never had a bad thing to say about him. Again, this could go either way, but I there's reasons why I did it. I got Kyle's number 3. Kyle Duke is number 3.
Okay.
He's got tons of championships. So out west, this driving style is just so fun to watch. And the guy was another fabricator, right? He was an innovator. He fabricated. He came. Yeah, Kurt LeDuc had a name, right? But Kurt didn't give it to him. I mean, Kyle had to build his own pro lights, and then he had to, learn to fabricate. And basically, he self-made his person. And there's a good person that knew the game, right? He knew how to do the trash talk. He knew how to do the, just made it entertaining.
Yeah.
Just how he was, I guess. He was very confident for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was fun to watch, and fun to watch him on and off the track, And I know it made people mad, but that was the fun part of it.
He was very confident in what his truck could do as well.
Yeah.
He was not scared to put his truck in positions other people wouldn't.
No. And he had very good car control.
Yes.
I mean, very good. Rick Huseman was similar to that, but Rick unfortunately had passed too early, but he didn't get as many championships as, Kyle did.
Yeah.
So then we get into the top 2. This is where I feel 2 and 3, you could argue. I got CJ as 2. And the reason I got CJ as 2 is you can't discredit his 10 championships and
200 wins.
200 wins is overall, yeah, and he's got like 70 some only Pro 4, I think, or what does he have now just in Pro 4?
I don't know the breakdown of his 200.
So, but I mean, he's in the UTVs and all that stuff. But I mean, just puts up numbers, right? And obviously this will. But so did Kyle, right? Kyle had the similar championships.
Yeah.
So when they came together, right? Kyle got the first year, where didn't Kyle win the first championship when they first come up here, and he made CJ step it up. But then after that, I really thought that okay, Kyle is the man, right?
Yeah.
But then the next year, in perfect Grieve fashion, they pull up the boots, they get the work done, and they figure it out, and then they go out and they just start clicking them off, 2 against Kyle before the unfortunate, I think, right?
Yeah.
They got 2 more. And you got to give it to them then.
Yeah.
Right? The best against the best. I don't care if it's just a match race. They had a match race each week.
Yeah.
And overall, he come on top. So
Yeah, it's one of the rare moments that on a top 5 list you're able to compare apples to apples.
yeah.
Like a lot of times when I'm looking at that list, it's hard because not all those people raced at the same time.
Right.
So that's a perfect explanation of apples to apples right there.
Right. So that's kind of why I, some people might say Kyle, some people might say CJ, but in general, they both got different styles. But at the end, the last couple of years, CJ's was clicking them off as championships and wins. They split them. Now, granted, I know Kyle was trying to figure out his truck, but so were they, because they had to change things to keep up with Kyle from the year before, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So, and of course, you probably know where this one's going, but I got Johnny Greaves as number 1, and I have it because he's got well over 100 Pro 4 wins. He's got 7 Pro 4 championships. Other class wins. You talk about a guy that could drive everything. I know Mike had talked about Rayford, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see that competition against him with Johnny. I've seen that guy win in mods. Never jumps in a mod and wins. Even one of them he did at Luxembourg. I think he spun around just before the end and he went across the finish line backwards or something. So, I mean, the guy, he raced against, Blair Morgan and all that stuff in snowcross. But, I mean, I don't know, he just seemed to set the bar for that. So, but, I mean, the other things that Johnny did that I think sets him above the rest, he did that long jump. I mean, 300 and some. I don't know if you guys ever watched that video.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you ever jump.
We bring up
I don't know if you ever jump. I know you guys jump stuff, but I mean, to do that, to hit that at the speed he had to hit that at, how many times he did it, I still get thinking he is crazy to do that.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then he's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yep.
So I mean, he's there. And then the other thing is, again, he's self-made. I mean, people will say now it looks like, oh, they got it all, but I mean, I was around when they were just building stuff, trying to build the first Pro Tour. He was kind of, bring it all in house, do it myself, learn, and he obviously figured it out, right?
Yeah, figured it out pretty good. Yeah.
And then he also did help a lot of other racers. I mean, think about what he did for the side-by-side row. How many side-by-sides are built from that shop? How many? No, their whole crew is part of this. So, and you got Kurt Greaves was part of the early days, so that whole team, I think, deserves to be. That's why I got that, I guess, just because
and what he's done for the sport. I think the sport has been CPR'd by Johnny a time or two.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where there's been extra Pro 4s out there because of them and things like that. So
yeah, and I think the love for the sport got there. Even Kyle, that's why Kyle kind of was doing some of that stuff too. I think with Henderson and but Johnny and Henderson Johnny did that for Henderson, a bunch of people too. So I don't know. That's kind of the number ones were very easy for me.
Yeah.
But filling in the blanks was much harder.
It was a tough task
because the one between CJ and Kyle, I was on the fence with.
Here's a crazy fact. I'm pretty sure it's a fact. For asking this question to people we've interviewed, you've ranked CJ the highest.
Really?
Yeah. I think I think it goes. I've never seen him on number one.
Maybe a couple around Lena might have had him higher. But I don't know.
I have him two. And
Yeah.
I have Johnny at number one.
Yeah, I was saying for in studio ones.
Oh,
I think it's just purely because he still feels like he's at his top of his game, and that it feels like it's going to keep on going. So
well,
I think it's hard for.
I don't know. I think the thing that I find, I think Mikey said it. He is the competition there, or does he just make it look so
Slow.
easy?
Yeah.
Right. So, I really still think this. If CJ say raced something else and Johnny was just a lone in Pro 4, Johnny would have had much more wins yet. And there was an era in those championships where it was really just a smaller group, that CJ was clicking off. So, I mean, I did kind of think of that, where Kyle had really, really, really good competition out west, Renazetter and all them, so, but what tipped it, I guess, was the fact that they did race head to head, and they were both in their prime, and they were both in the same spot, and they were both there, and then two different styles.
Yeah.
And CJ had to adapt. Actually, I feel he had to even up his style, and then at the end figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, in my eyes, where CJ gets a little bumped too. His ability to change his style almost on the fly sometimes to adapt to the situation is, you don't see that often amongst a lot of racers, and how smooth, and he just picks people away. Like, he'll follow you 2 laps just to know where to pass you.
Right, and the patience. I never had that kind of patience, ever.
Yeah.
I was like, get by him as fast as possible. But it was a different time. You didn't have the competition caution there. You didn't have to save tires. Now they're on different tires, so the tires probably have to be saved a little bit more. There's probably more games played there than I ever had to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see. It would be interesting, all those names I had. I don't know, like Rick Huseman in his prime, he was like Kyle almost. It was just good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
all those guys, all on the list there, I wonder, I didn't know where exactly, but I did it by more statistics, and then I did it by head-to-head racing.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I got them where
Yeah.
I got them. And then number one was already taken, so,
Yeah, you had that one. I think many people have that one decided fairly early.
you know.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people picked Rob Mack, but Rob, he didn't really win that many Pro 4 Chep. I don't even know. He won maybe one, but he won a lot of those cups.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think I had Rob Mack on number 1 spot for Pro 2.
oh, yeah, I could see that. But
Yeah.
Scotty Taylor, I guess I'm going. And I come from a little bit older era.
Yeah, I
So-
think that's
Yeah.
a big part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested now if like I redo my list next year, how different it would be because
Just learning what
Yeah.
we've learned.
yeah, just learning more because there is a lot of the older era that I didn't always know until we started having these conversations and I started researching more.
It would really be neat if, all the technology nowadays, if there'd be a way to have AI or something create a virtual race between
Yeah.
all of them, but that'd be all just statistical type stuff, like
When we
lap
did-
times or something,
When we did our top 5 list, I used AI and I put it as a third person. It wasn't so great.
No, but I meant like a virtual race. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, if you
Like
could put
how do you, like
on
on a computer or
Crandon.
something,
You know, if we had like lap times and stuff from those previous years,
Yeah.
you could almost try to do something. But then Mikey brought up a good point too.
Track's different.
The track's been changed so much.
Quite a bit at Crandon. I actually liked the old track better. That they didn't have all the big berms. They had the gravel pit was flat, so you had
Yeah.
it was just you had to race it different.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish like if I had a wish, and I'm not like I watched CJ race at that's another thing that tipped my hat a little bit, but the Kincaid and the CJ race, when they kind of got together,
Yep.
that race he was freaking hauling the mail, like he was throwing it in, harder than I've seen, the catch Keegan,
Yeah.
and that's why it tells me I think there's always another level that he probably doesn't get a chance to use a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to.
Yeah. When that opening was there and he saw the slightest opening, and I think if they don't make connection, he probably makes that pass.
Yeah.
Because that was insane.
Yep.
But I mean, even before that, how he was the time that he was making up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the pace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Purely pace on
Well,
that,
and
yeah.
you can see that when he jumps into other things, like he jumped into the modified recently, and he did pretty well in that at 141.
Yeah.
He can jump in, like you were saying with Johnny, almost anything and do good in it.
I mean, he was at Luxembourg when Johnny jumped in, and he did one of Eddie Munster's mods, and I believe he won that night.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if he practiced before. I don't know, but I just saw him race a lot of different stuff, and
That's cool.
Yeah. So if you had to give the title of Pioneer of Short Course Racing, who would you give the title of pioneering short course racing?
what do you?
So if who do you believe is the pioneer of short course racing? Like who really forged its way in the earlier days?
I mean, like racers or
It can be racers or a track owner or promoter. I mean, anybody that you think really put in the hard work to make short course racing what it is today.
I don't have a lot of that history, but being the fact that it seems like it's still the biggest, or it's the biggest race in short course, and it all kind of started there. I'd have to say the Crandon group back in the days, when it was nothing but in through the woods. So whoever came up with, hey, we're going to race these things through the woods and have that event and grow it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Flannery family, but I think there's other people involved at Crandon that I don't know all the names to. But obviously that's where the roots started for the area,
Yeah.
right? And that's where it grew, I would say.
Yeah.
And it might have been started by, watching a desert race, hey, we can do that. But I mean, in this area, I'd have to say it has to be that group historically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, then Jack Flannery, doing all his things, going out west to race out there, at some of those shortcut races, and then bringing, the bigger names this way. I would say that, I guess seems like he would be part of that, era.
Absolutely.
I remember when I was a kid, that was Jack Flannery was the
He was
guy
man.
that won everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you look back, and it sounds like you've had a chance to look back your racing career recently, what would you pick out as like your most memorable moment in your racing career?
Probably, I would probably say building my, the buggy that I had, the first one I bought, right? But the second one, I bought a chassis, but I had to do it and build it all. And everybody had said that, well, I'm not going to be really content there because, first year car blues and stuff like that. So putting that together and putting that package together and everything and coming out and dominating and then winning that championship, I would say it was my most memorable career or season.
Awesome.
Yeah. That makes sense. When you got to work that hard to make something happen,
Right.
and then you do it right and prove a lot of people wrong,
Right.
it's very rewarding.
We were pretty dominating that year.
Yeah. Awesome. So we always try to ask our guest, who do you think we should have on next?
Oh. I mean, somebody that I never see on a podcast that would be interesting to have on a podcast to tell stories. I don't know if they don't do it or what. I think it would be kind of the same person I said before that for the Off-Road Hall of Fame would be Jeff Kincaid.
Yeah.
I mean, I see Johnny in a lot, or I have heard John a lot. He's always got good stories, but I mean, CJ's on a lot. But I mean, if you want to get somebody that maybe has some interesting stuff that we haven't heard yet,
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see. I mean, if that'd be possible, I think that'd be a good.
Yeah, I might have to get some people to make some phone calls. I don't think he's going to answer mine, but that would be awesome to have. And that goes right, what you mentioned goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do here, was with trying to learn the history and trying to hear the stories that are not always heard.
Because you might get some of the Flannery or the Crandon stories, the beginnings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, yeah. That'd be awesome. Well, we thank you for coming on, sharing your history between the buggies, the truck, the sprint car, the
good old
UTV
boys.
stuff, good old boys.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming on and sharing your stories. We enjoyed it. It's a lot of history here.
Thanks. I appreciate you asking me. I mean, first time I've ever done this. Hopefully, they're good stories. People want to listen to them. And, I really enjoy the sport. Part of the reason for doing this is to keep it going and keep the history going, because there is a lot that's out there that I think are very entertaining. Probably a lot more stories than I even got to share here that I forgot about. But it's a neat sport. I wish it would grow bigger, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully it does grow bigger.
Yeah, hopefully it does. And like you said, thank you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, thank you.